And we're on. So I'll do
Hey, what's up, gamers?
We're back for yet another episode of the podcast Stick Drift, where we talk about gaming and just popular stuff in pop culture. Anyways, I'm Lord Pog of Lord Pog Gaming, and I'm joined by one of them old school gamers, Androit, who plays Androit Risen, Lord Androit Risen, on our D&D podcast, Adventures in Loxos. And then we have the brainchild of this podcast, Crazy, joining us as well.
At first, you said OG gamer. I thought you were going to talk about me because I'm, darn near Moses' age. But I'll be the brainchild. That's cool too.
Dim old school. The reason why funny story. The reason why we call ourselves dim old school gamers is because we have a D&D podcast, but we don't play 5th edition. We play 3.5 because. Because we like to play.
Is life.
Yeah, 3.5. Yeah, we like to play good D&D. So, Anyway, yeah. So we're here for episode 2, where we're going to talk a little late, but we wanted to give the time to dust. We wanted to give time for the dust to settle on this topic with the Game of the Year, or not just the Game of the Year, but just the Game Awards in general. So,
also, Pog and I have poor time management skills.
And not only that, it was everybody was real busy, so it kind of set us back a little bit. But it's all good. Plus, it was Pog's birthday on the 2nd, so everybody wish him a happy birthday.
Nah.
Yeah.
Birthday.
Wasn't gonna make a thing about that. But
he's 58 years old now, so we're getting that.
Jesus, I'm glad I'm not 58 years old. Shoot me. Just shoot me now. If I didn't have kids, I wouldn't want to live to that long. But with that said, yeah. So I'll open up the forum to you all. What are your thoughts on the Game Awards in general?
It depends on which award we're talking about.
Just
for the most part,
as a whole, just as a whole, I guess.
Actually, for once, I was very pleased with the Game Awards. Claire Obscure pretty much swept them. I'm a big Claire Obscure fan, as I had told you last episode, and I think that they deserved every single award they got. And I think that they actually should have got another award that they didn't get. But, that's okay, because I was okay with the award that did win it, or the game that did win that award. And I can't remember which one it was. But, yeah, Claire Obscure is very well deserving of Game of the Year award and all the awards it got. So that was my thoughts on it. I also think that the presentations, I just watched it, but I did. The performances, they had Evanescence up there, and they had a symphony and a whole bunch of other stuff like that. I thought that was very well done. My only complaint was Xbox is showing. And that sounds kind of weird because I'm a big Xbox fan, as you all know. But they had an opportunity to showcase some of their upcoming games that they have coming out. And they didn't do that. They did do a little commercial thing and it was kind of, for a commercial, it would have been cool. For a presentation at the Game Awards, I didn't think so. And it was just this janitor that was walking around, and it's supposed to be I guess the impression that I got was it was supposed to be underneath Microsoft headquarters. And everywhere he went, there was a symbol or a logo, if you will, of each game that was coming out. They had the Gears of War, cogs and stuff like that, and he'd see it. And they had I guess a new Fallout's coming out. I don't think out game per se, but I think it's a DLC or expansion of Fallout 76, the multiplayer game. And it was cool, for a commercial. But to me, I was like, here's your opportunity to showcase, what you've been working on, some of the games, and all you gave us was a commercial. So as far as that went, I was pretty disappointed.
Okay.
I can agree with that. As far as like what companies brought to the table, so to speak, in terms of upcoming games and stuff at the Game Awards, I thought it was kind of weak. I mean, nothing made me just absolutely jump out of my seat excited. You know what I mean? Which is fine. It's more of an award show anyway, but like you said, it's kind of an opportunity to really bring the heat and get people stoked up about what's coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, okay. The one thing I will say is the new Star Wars game. I got pretty excited when I saw that, and I got pretty excited about the Tomb Raider because I'm a Tomb Raider fan. I'm a big Tomb Raider fan. I've always been a Tomb Raider fan.
Raider looked cool.
Well, I'm just glad they made Lara Croft hot again. Like we want to make America great again. Let's make Lara Croft hot again. Let's make video game character women hot again. I mean, come on, America. We can do this. We can do this. It's okay. They say, well, okay, so thank you. Okay, so I'm a bit of an outlier on this. I didn't have a problem with the presentation of anything, like it's not that. But while watching it, I just kind of miss the days where instead of feeling like we're going to like, I don't know, some kind of gala and this and that, the Game Awards used to like kind of remind me of going to a rock concert. You had actual fans of the games in the front moshing while Limp Bizkit is up there performing, rocking out. You got chicks in cages dancing around. You know what I'm saying? Like
the G4 days of gaming.
Yeah, that is, and that to me feels more like gaming culture. Like it feels like the Game Awards are trying too hard to like be the Oscars of the gaming community, and the problem is that the Oscars suck now. You know what I mean? But I do agree. Yeah. I do agree that this year they did try to play it more like fair with their awards. This year they tried to, because they know now that that only giving awards to games that they agree with politically isn't going to work anymore, that people are fed up with that. So they gave it to the game that they started giving it to the games that people really wanted to see win, people really play, you know what I mean? That henceforth why Ghost of Yotai won nothing, even though they kept wanting to put the camera on that awful woman, Erika Ishii, to be like, see, she's here, but nobody cares. Everybody's like, oh, good, she's in one place, drop the bomb. But regardless of all that, is it just me? Or does it seem like the gaming industry is being like ran, like from the inside, it's being ran by weak men and I mean, lesbian women? Like every other like person that got up there either looked like he couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag or they were just lesbians. And I'm like, what is going on here, man? Like,
this is a point that I was going to save for a little bit later, but I'll kind of talk about it now, I guess,
since we're going to just jump right into the deep end already.
Yeah. I remember back, I don't know, probably 2012, 2014-ish, when the AAA industry was kind of dying and there was a resurgence in gaming through indie games. And there is a level of that now, but the problem is that you have to kind of wade through a lot of slop to find a lot of hidden gems.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because feels like even the indie industry is kind of flooded now. You know what I mean?
It
So-
really seems like that, yeah. Like a lot of the games they
I don't know.
showed, a lot of the games that they showed were mainly indie games. Did you notice that? A lot of the games that they showcase like up and coming games, a lot of them were indie games.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you know, like they're big industry, they're like funded indie games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta look to these small upcoming studio, like those Italian guys that you know, for example.
Yeah, and those guys,
You know,
those
or,
guys are legit. Those guys are
like
legit.
sleeper underground industries that don't have a lot of backing or releasing really crazy games pretty soon.
Who
you
just
know what I
want to
mean?
make good
There's
games.
one coming up called Sword Hero. They have a combat demo on Steam, and it is freaking so much fun. You ought to watch the trailer too. Like some of what they plan to implement into the game looks pretty crazy. I play a lot of those, you know, like dark fantasy RPGs, you know, and it's one of those.
Well, something I noticed that was funny about the game, the Game Awards. Speaking of E33, and is that those guys, when Todd Howard came out to talk, and I don't even know what he was talking about. He came out. He said nothing about a new Fallout. He said nothing about a new Elder Scrolls. He just came out to be like, I'm Todd Howard, and I'm going to talk, and you know, and he thinks that just his presence alone, without coming with any new information on, you know, games we want to see, he thinks just his presence is good enough or something. I don't know. But he came out and he mentioned something about Claire Obscura, and it showed the guys, I don't remember their names now, but the two French guys who made it, you know, they're sitting, it shows them, and they had to cut away real quick because they were sitting there and you could visibly see they were talking and pointing at Todd Howard because they didn't know who he was. They had no idea who he was. Like they were like, you could see that they were visibly confused. Well, one of them didn't know who he was, and the other one, it looked like, was trying to explain to him that, no, that's Todd Howard. You know who Todd Howard is, kind of. You know what I mean? Like they look like they're, and he's just pointing, and I'm like, and I just started laughing because I was like, they have no idea who Todd, you know, dude has no idea who Todd Howard is, or maybe he knows the name, but he didn't know the, you know, the face or something. But yeah, I was like, that is really interesting to me that these guys aren't really familiar with that, you know. Maybe they,
well, it's downright perplexing because the Todd Howard, whether you like him or don't like him, whether you like Bethesda games or not, I mean, that is somebody who has been a staple in gaming for the longest time, and as a game developer, especially somebody who used to work for Ubisoft, should know who Todd Howard is.
well,
Like,
you would think so.
That is the case.
You would think so.
You would think so.
Yeah, but
That's kind of strange.
but they're sitting there just talking, and the one's pointing at him, and the other one's kind of like shaking his head, like, "Well, who?" You know what I mean? Like, what? You know, and it could just be that maybe he knows the name, but he didn't recognize the face, and you know, perhaps, I don't know.
It's a possibility.
But there was something visibly there, and they caught it on camera, and then they quickly clipped away. So I know that there was something
maybe
there.
he wasn't supposed to be there, and then he showed up at the last minute, so they were kind of confused as, oh, he did show up. You know, I mean, there's a multitude of things.
Yeah, but would they know that? Would they know that?
But not knowing that, not knowing who Todd Howard is. I mean, if that is the case, that's kind of strange.
You know, it is kind of strange, but I didn't know who Todd Howard was for, you know, I've only known who he is for like maybe a couple of years, to be honest with you. I didn't know who he was either I knew the games, but I didn't know who he personally was. Yeah, like I don't know though, like that's the thing. Like if you were to ask me who this person is, or you give me a name and I'm supposed to know them because they made some certain game that should be relevant to me, I'm like, I have no idea who that is. I have no. Yeah, only reason why I know who Kojima is because he actually like. Yeah, well, but he actually like really he's made a point of interacting with the gaming community to
Not only that,
to levels that a lot of these guys don't.
Right. That's what I was going to say. He's innovative. He brought, with Death Stranding, he brought a whole new genre of games. Strand games. I was just reading about it the other day. They're literally labeling it now Strand games. And what that is you play, well, I don't know if you guys have played Death Stranding. I think Android has. But you're playing a single player game, but it's still online. And you can do stuff in the game that helps other people out that's on that same server. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so for example, you're getting ready to cross a creek or something like that, right? And you can't, so you throw down a ladder, okay? So you can cross, or a board, or whatever it is. So you can cross over that, body of water. Well, somebody else, Joe Blow down the road or something, could be playing on the same server, and he'll see that ladder there, so he doesn't have to throw that ladder. He'll walk over the ladder that you threw down. So you have all these people, these multiple amount of people that are building up this world as they're playing the same game, but you're not actually in the same game. So they're calling it a genre of strand gaming. And from what I understand, there's other gaming companies now that are working to implement this idea into their gaming as well. And that is what sets Kojima so high, because he comes up with ideas like that. And anybody that comes up with ideas like that, they set a certain standard for, or not necessarily a standard. What's what I'm looking for? They just set a new idea. Yeah, for other games. Another one is Blueprints. That's an innovative idea. Nobody has ever done something like what Blueprints does, whether you like the game or not. It's innovative. It's new. It's something that nobody's ever done before, and it sets up for other gaming companies to use those ideas. And that's where you hear about game developers by name. Is once they start doing stuff like that, then the name, you start hearing that name more and more and more and more and more. Even truly, if you really think about it, even Bethesda set up a new thing with Morrowind. They took different ideas, but they really set up a game that set a standard for a lot of first-person RPGs. Like, you had stuff like, Baldur's Gate or whatever, dungeon crawling games. First person, you go and do that stuff, look at the chain or something, and blah, 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 blah. But prior to Morrowind, you didn't have stuff like, picking up plants to make an alchemist of some kind of, using alchemy to make some kind of potion so you could do this and that and the third, you know what I mean? And this open world area that I remember when Morrowind first came out, and that was the main reason why I got an Xbox, is because our cousin Jonathan was talking about it at whenever we went to go visit, grandma or grandpa or something like that. And I was like, man, that sounds cool. I might have to switch over, get this Xbox. And I got it. And I was like, man, this is cool. And it was hard because, it didn't have the maps that we have today, the paths that tell you where you need to go and stuff. It was just pretty much exploration. But that was a new innovative idea. And that's really what set Bethesda. That's when everybody started talking about Bethesda. And then, of course, came Oblivion and then Skyrim and so on and so forth.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that Elder Scrolls in general started introducing things even back in like arena days that were just that Elder Scrolls has always, well, I don't want to say has always, but every single game, and honestly, I think that's why it's taken so long to get like a new Elder Scrolls game, is because they're kind of asking themselves, well, where do we go now? What can we do to make this stand out? Like,
what I think
every single one of them has stood out from the other,
I hope they backpedal some and re-implement some old systems and bring some old things kind of, in a renewed, revived state. You know what I mean? Like spellcrafting and shit. Like, that would be way cool if you could craft your own spells again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like Oblivion.
Yeah, you know, or
When you get the tower or
acrobatic
whatever.
skills.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And implement it so that it's kind of like Assassin's Creed or something, and you can parkour. Like, I don't know. It'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be way cool. I think they should bring back the levitation spell. Just because that, like, from Daggerfall, that would be so much fun to just goof around with. You know, like, just think about how much you could break the game if you could do that.
What I think they're doing with Elder Scrolls 6, though, is I think it's going to release for this generation of systems. But I think that the big launch is going to be next Xbox. That's really what I think is going to happen. I think that's why they're sitting on it and not telling anybody about it. You know, I mean, we saw maybe one little teaser, you know, and it showed like this world, and then it said the Elder Scrolls 6. You know, nothing more. Not what it's about, not where it's at, not the lore of it. You know, there's a lot of speculation that it's Redguard, which wouldn't surprise me. But, you know, there's nothing for it. We just know that it's coming eventually. And I think that, you know, Phil, whatever that guy's name is, and that's the lead of Xbox, is like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to release the new Xbox with Elder Scrolls 6, and that's going to sell the new Xbox. And, you know, he could be right.
I would say that's a good plan. That's a good business strategy.
Certainly good marketing, you know, ploy.
You definitely, you definitely want to put eyes on it, you know, because I mean, people are kind of moving away from console right now. Consoles are kind of struggling, and if you wanted to, put eyes on your next gen system, that would be the way to do it. Be like, here's something you all been waiting for like ever. And it comes, you know, exclusive on this, you know. I wouldn't even, I mean, I know Microsoft and PC, that's one of the reasons why Xbox struggles so hard, because basically anything you can get on Xbox, you can get on PC, basically, you know. But if I were...
Well, especially since I hear that they're planning on implementing Steam onto the new Xbox.
Yeah.
Like giving it its own interface on there. So
I mean, good grief.
That may just be a rumor, but that's what I've heard.
I don't know if I would do that, but that's just me, right? Like, I don't know.
Kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
It kind of defeats the purpose, in my opinion. But
yeah,
I think Xbox is more steering away from the exclusive idea. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They've realized that, you know, you got, like I was talking about last podcast, you got all these loyal PlayStation fans, and it's not going to matter what we put out. They're going to tear it apart because it's not available to them. And we can make more money because at the end of the day, that's what they care about. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, the big corporation guys, all they care about is making money. So they can make more money by making it multi-platform. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, the games that a lot of the PlayStation loyalists said about Xbox, oh, it's a terrible game. Well, then Xbox allows it for PlayStation, and they're singing its praises all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, this isn't such a bad game. We're sitting here like, yeah, we told you. You know what I'm saying? Like, broaden your horizons. I have both a PlayStation and an Xbox. You know, I love the game Horizon. The Horizon games on PlayStation. I like the Spider-Man games on PlayStation. You know, I feel like when you become a loyalist to a certain company, all that you're doing is ridding yourself of some quality entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have your preference. Like, I prefer the Xbox. I prefer it. I like the control of it. I think it's a better system. It's more durable. It doesn't overheat as much. But I'm not going to put down the PlayStation 5 because there's a lot of games on there. There's a lot of titles on there that I play that I enjoy. You know what I'm saying? So I think that whole console war is stupid, and I think that Xbox is starting to, you know, steer its way away from that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you want an Xbox, you want to buy a console, great. But if you don't, we're still going to provide our games on the console that you prefer because that's what we want to do. You know, and the upper administrators are like, yeah, we'll make more money that way. So I don't know. That's just my own opinion on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's definitely, here's the thing, like they're struggling so hard right now that they're talking about making their games for consoles like $100, and that's backfiring on them like seriously hard. Like seriously hard. Yeah. Like $100 games. There has been only one game that I can remember not recently, but like in memory, because I had to research this, and when I found out I was just like, wow. There's only one game that I can think of that they actually billed it for $100, and it was successful even for being $100. And this was back in like the 90s when they released Phantasy Star 4 for the Sega Genesis. And the only reason they made it $100 is because they were low-key trying to sabotage its sales in America, because the Japanese didn't think that it would do well in America anyways. So they said, well, we'll just make it $100. And the guy who published it with his company here in America looked at the game, he played it, and said, no, this will do good here in America, and pushed for it to be released here in America. So the Japanese said, okay, fine. Well, it's going to be $100, and people still bought it. And that game is still like considered one of the best RPGs ever to be released. So, but that's the only instance I have ever heard of where they released a game for $100 and it actually did well. People actually said, "Oh, well, this must be a good game if it's this expensive," and lo and behold, it actually turned out to be one of the best games of its generation. So, I wish I could remember like the names of people and stuff right now, but that was like forever ago when I looked into that, and I'm not going to remember people's names like that. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, Fantasy Fantasy Star 4 originally was like $98.99 on console. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. I gotta pause this real quick. All right. Anyways, though, yeah. So this was that was the only instance I can remember. It was like $98.99 or something like that, like some crazy price for a Sega Genesis cartridge, and it succeeded. But yeah, back to the gaming awards in general. That is a thought that I had. I was kind of surprised to see so many indie games as opposed to AAA studio games being promoted at the Game Awards, and I realized, well, that's because the big name studios are failing right now. They know that they're failing, so so instead of being able to control the narrative of the big name studios like they have been for a while, now they're trying to control the narrative of indie games. But really, like, the majority of the indie games they showed really weren't that really it's not their look. Okay, a lot of the games they showed looked good. They looked good. They were fine. It was all passable. The mechanics seemed like your typical mechanics that you would expect in a game like that. Yada yada yada. It just doesn't look. There was just nothing about it that like blew me away, per se. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, what was that one game, right, Android, that I was like, it looks like Baba Yaga, and it was like the Cult of the Chicken Foot or something like that, or Order of the Chicken Foot or something, you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, like playing an old lady walking around with like, oh, what is that? What is that one creature's name in Labyrinth? The big freaking burly one that, walks around.
Bluto?
Yeah, Bluto. Yeah, Bluto. Sarah. Yeah, like you're some little old lady walking around with a Bluto, and they're like, so beautiful. So I'm like, yeah, it looks all right, but I mean, it looks, but I don't know, man. Like, yeah.
Well, that's good, but how fun is it?
Yeah, how fun is it? How interesting is it? It's not even that interesting looking, like I'll tell you, and I wrote this down, the most interesting looking game I thought I saw the entire time. And at one point in time, I kind of tuned out a little bit and started playing Where Winds Meet while it was on. I had my window to window going on, and, but the most interesting looking, well, okay, shout out to Resident Evil Requiem for returning Leon Kennedy. That's gonna be cool.
That's actually true.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Again, Tomb Raider. Yeah, both Tomb Raider, Catalyst, and Legacy of Atlantis. Thank goodness, Lara Croft is back, looking good. And I don't care what the people who are complaining about her looks now are saying, it's so sad that we've gone back to not making women look realistic. I'm sorry, realistic? Is there not good looking women in this world? Like, is it not realistic to make women good looking? Like, there's no such, like, that's such a stupid argument. You got to make them look realistic. What are you talking about? There is just because you're not a good looking person doesn't mean that there's no such thing as not good looking people, Just because you look like a killer cow from the planet Mud doesn't mean that everybody has to, Like, for crying out loud. But the game that I saw that really stood out to me was Divinity, the new Divinity coming out from Larian Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to that guy, the CEO of Larian Studios. Shout out to that guy. Like, go look up his interview with Joe Rogan when he talks about the gaming industry.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to that guy. he pretty much says the quiet part out loud. He's like, the problem is with the gaming industry is we've had too many kids coming out of college thinking they're gonna push their beliefs on everybody, but they're going to use everybody else's money to do it instead of their own, which is why so many things are failing.
Well, yeah, and I agree with that. And I'm a big proponent of keep your agendas out of entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether it's movies, I guess music is kind of a different story, but even to a little point, music, keep them out of video games, keep your agenda out of it, because it's for some people, they're not even going to buy your product because they know you're pushing an agenda. You know what I'm saying? For example, Ghost of Yotai, okay? Which I know you're a big fan of.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love seeing what it's going through right now. I love the fact that it's doing as well as it is. I love it. Huge fan of Ghost of Tsushima. Okay, huge fan of it. Huge fan of that game. So I was looking forward to the second game. So when the Ghost of Yotai came out, and they're like, "Well, it's going to be a female, protagonist or whatever," I was still okay with that because I played games where I am a female protagonist and I enjoy them immensely. And I was like, okay, Heavenly Sword. Yeah.
I was fine with it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But when they started praising the assassination, whether they agreed with what this man said or not, when they started praising the assassin, and your main character was praising the assassination of a man, I was like, I'm not buying it. I don't care how bad I want to play that game. I don't care how beautiful it looks, because it does. It looks like a beautiful game. And from what I understand, the gameplay is a lot of fun. But I'm like, I don't care. I don't care, because there's something that goes above my entertainment, And that's more my morality and that's my spirituality. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm not going to buy that game. So by them, pushing, and I realized that they fired the director or whoever originally said it, but they didn't. What they should have done was just scrap the game. They should have scrapped the game and redid it and they should have fired Shishi or whatever her name is because of what she said.
Oh, you said her name right. You said her name right.
Well, yeah. They should have fired her. I mean, that's plain and simple. You just got done. If I walk into my job and I start praising stuff like that, liability or it's liable that I'm going to get fired. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who goes in and starts doing stuff like that, they're going to get fired because there's certain. And when you're a representative for something,
Well,
openly like that.
Well, like even what I'm talking about,
no matter how evil it is, but it's her right to think it. That tangent that I just is when you start pushing agendas, you start customers. Yeah, they did have their following that still bought the game, who are just as evil as they are, that bought the game. So much better because they lost thousands upon thousands upon thousands for planning to get that game. Myself being one of them.
Well, there's not enough people who think like they do. They think they'll get rid of us, who they call the chuds. But with it, it's like when they were making this new Doctor Who, and they were, and it's just crap on a cracker, and they're like, well, for every one of the freaking chuds we lose, we'll gain 1,000 more, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, because there's not, not every people don't think as insane as you do on average. Like they don't have these crazy beliefs.
And they didn't.
But with to be fair, even what I'm talking about, making Lara Croft good looking again, having Limp Bizkit and rocking out at the Game Awards instead of trying to make it, all this stuff. Even that, to an extent, I would agree would be an agenda. It is an agenda on my part. The difference is my agenda is fun. My agenda is about having fun and having fun with something that is meant to be fun. You can make stuff that is
like political agendas. My bad.
Well, no, I know. Well, I mean, even mine's kind of political, because these are the people who vote. You know what I'm saying? But it's the idea. You can have thought-provoking stuff that have an undertone of political satire to it. Look at the original Star Trek. Look at these. The thing is that where you mess up when you go that route, when you're trying to be thought-provoking, is when you're pushing one narrative more than the other narrative. Right. It's understandable that Schindler's List pushes the narrative of of Schindler being a hero because he's saving people from the Nazis. You're like, Nazis bad, Schindler good. It makes sense. That makes sense. But when it's something more nuanced, but you're like, no, either you have to see this nuance my way, or you're just a bad person. Well, it's like, yeah, well, that's not really fair, and you're alienating your customer base. The people who have through buying your product over the years have put you in the position you're in now. And now suddenly it's like a betrayal. It's like a betrayal to sit there and now spit in their face because they don't see things the way that you do, And for years, because you did used to make games for us, we had no idea you felt this way. It's like being friends with somebody. The way I liken it is like being friends with somebody for, like, let's say 10 years. You're friends with this person for 10 years, and then one day you find out they hate you. You know what I mean? And up until this time, you've gone fishing with them. you've gone to like water parks or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe you might even been this person's kid's godfather or something, you know what I mean? And then to find out they hate you because this entire time they felt this way about this certain issue and you haven't, you know? And it's like, what? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what that's like. You know, that's kind of what that feels like,
right.
To me. And
right.
you just can't do that in the gaming industry. You know, you can't do that in any industry. You know, keep your personal opinions to yourself if you're making something for people. You know, if you're setting out to make something for people, then yeah, keep your personal opinions to yourself. If you're making it for yourself, then do that. You know, there's nothing wrong with making something that has your own personal opinions, your own feelings, your own thoughts. Yeah, do that. But make it from your own creative ability. Don't weasel your way into some pre-existing property and completely change the property to suit you. You know what I mean? That like makes absolutely that, you know, that's not what you do, you know? That's not what you do. They just don't do that because they know it won't make any money solely based upon, you know, the fact that the properties they've hurt aren't making any money now. You know? These things aren't really making any money, and so it's proof to them that maybe if they tried to make their own original ideas, it wouldn't work because nobody would buy it. And the people who would buy it don't buy it. That's the crazy thing to me, is that there are people out there who would buy some of this stuff, but they're not going out and buying it. You know, they're not.
Right.
For whatever reason. I've heard people, you know, there's people who crack jokes like, yeah, but they don't buy it because they're the people who don't work. And it's like, well, I'm sure a lot of them have jobs or whatever. They just, you know, they just don't buy it, you know, for whatever reason.
Well, you know, and I think that, getting back to the Game Awards, I think that's one of the reasons why in the Game Awards they didn't really push any type of agenda that I saw. Okay, any type of political agenda like they normally do. I didn't see that in any of the showcasing of the games, any of the performances, you know, any of the people that came out and talked or anything like that. Like, you know, they would have
just Felicia Day.
Just Felicia Day. Yeah, word.
And, I just looked this up. Last year, their ratings dropped to 154 million viewers, which is a lot of viewers. But this year, their viewership went up to 171 million, and it actually broke their record. You know what I'm saying? So I think that slowly but surely they're starting to see this, and they're seeing, maybe we need to start making a shift, you know, in the type of presentations that we're making, and just make it about entertainment, which is basically what I saw in the Game Awards. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but for me, it was just entertaining, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Well, I wouldn't say I was entertained, but if I'm being honest, I wouldn't say I was entertained, but I wasn't just completely disgusted with it either. You know, I watched the pre-show too, you know, and I'm like, why, you know, and I'm watching two goblins sit there and talk, just yammer at each other. And I'm like, why are these our hosts? You know, like, why are these two our hosts? Like, they didn't do anything like interesting. It was just, they weren't interesting. They weren't funny. They weren't interesting to, how do I put this? Look at, you know what I mean? Like, I could watch paint dry on a wall and find that more fascinating to stare at, you know, like just nothing about them was appealing. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Appealing. I'm trying to be polite. Oh, you know, because you can't necessarily help certain aspects of your life, you know what I mean? But You know, that's just but it's like, but you don't have to put it out there either, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, like if I'm wanting to sell you on an idea, am I going to, if I'm selling car parts and I want you to buy like a new muffler, am I going to show you the most rusted piece of crap there is, muffler, and tell you that's what you want, buy this? Or am I going to find you the newest, latest, most stylish, shiny, polished muffler and present that to you and be like, that's what you need? You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is part of the problem with the Game Awards, is the fact that, you know, they're pushing too hard for it to normalize to normalize monstrosity above presentation and, like Android just said, charisma. Charisma is definitely a skill, and they really don't have it at all. Like, they had this dude who kept doing these segments on there, and he was just the least funniest dude on the planet. And he was trying to be funny, and he thought he was funny. And that, I think that's what got to me the worst about it, was the fact that this dude thinks he's funny. And maybe in his inner circle, his echo chamber, he is funny. Maybe he is the alpha in his echo chamber, but I mean, that's like a socialist communist commune, you know what I'm saying? Type of mentality. You know, you think you have the right idea, you think you're on top of the world, you think you're the elite, until those people who are, you know, until the freaking dude rolls up in the hockey mask and tells you to give him your oil, or him and his raiders are going to destroy your plantation. You know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot base your life on an echo chamber. And that's my problem with a lot of things, is it feels like these days you're just getting a glimpse inside their echo chamber and you're saying, good grief, you know, like these people literally think that they're on top, and they're not, because they're so out of touch with the rest of us that it's unreal. You know, it's in my opinion that if you, I have a friend who he disagrees with me on a lot of stuff, on a lot of point of views, and a lot of my thoughts and feelings about things, you know, my views, my opinions, whatever you want to call them, feelings, whatever. I try to keep feelings out of stuff a lot of the time, but he disagrees with me a lot. But I will still sit there and have long form conversations with him for hours, simply because he disagrees with me. Because the best thing you can do in life is, if you have a thought or whatever, is, you know, put it out there and see how much sense it makes when it's being said back to you, because it will either help you to change that opinion or thought or whatever, or it'll strengthen it, because you'll take stock in it and say, no, I think they're wrong, actually. And, you know, you'll carry on. You know, don't bottle yourself up in an echo chamber. And the Gaming Awards just seemed like a huge echo chamber to me. You know, when they did the E33 performance, the musical performance and stuff, I thought that was pretty good. I enjoy that kind of stuff. Opera and symphony and things. I enjoy that stuff anyways, you know. I have no problem with it. But here's the thing, like, not everybody's into that. And the majority of gamers, I don't think, are really that into that. Like, they don't mind it when they're playing games or whatever, because you want a gaming soundtrack to be real impactful and operatic and things like that, you know. But for an award show, I mean, you really should just be bringing the heavy 90% of the time. And I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. But then I'm looking at the audience, and the people in the audience are sitting there clutching their chest, being like, oh my gosh, like they just saw the second coming of Christ or something. And I'm like, well, it wasn't that good. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that good. I mean, it was good, but let's not get it confused, man. I'm telling you, Limp Bizkit and Chicks and Dancing in Cages would have been way freaking better. With a mosh pit in the front, that would have been way freaking better. But that's just me, you know.
That's exactly what that would go.
No,
I don't think we're ever going to see that. I think that's just wishful thinking.
it used to be. They used to do that. They used to do that at the Game Awards.
The world used to be a different place.
Well, I know, but it was so much better when it was, is what I'm saying.
Now everybody's, and you're not wrong. But
Yeah.
Not just because of that. I mean, for many different aspects, but
We can get there again. We can get there again. You know, we could get there again if people just push it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Game Awards weren't terrible. They weren't anything I would, like I said, Divinity looks fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
that looks pretty sweet.
That did look pretty cool.
I was watching it and I was like, man, it reminded me of The Wicker Man. Like, I was sitting there watching it and I was like, oh, they're gonna.
Bro, it did me too. That's the first thing that came to my mind as well.
I was like, they're gonna burn this guy.
And I was like, whoa. For the Burning Man Festival.
Yeah, that's what Android said. He went, man, this year, were you at last year's Burning Man? It was wild. Or something like that. Yeah, I was like, they are gonna torch this dude. I mean, you got all kinds of stuff. And then like it drew me in because I want to know more. You know, that's where a lot of the games fell down for me, is the fact that I walked away from them being like, I don't really care. You know? And with Divinity, it pulled me in and I said to myself, I want to know more of this story. I want to know why they were burning that guy. What the heck happened? Why there's now like a pulsating vagina in the middle of this town? You know, I have to know more of what is going on in this game. That I have to know. I have to know. A lot of those games did not do that for me. I mean, I wasn't even really that interested. John Carpenter's coming out with a new game, and I'm not even that interested in that. And I love John Carpenter.
Right.
And that game looked all right. That game looked
Are you
like
talking about Halloween?
No, he's John Carpenter's coming out with like a new like team-based shooter, I think, where like you fight zombies or vampires or something. Let me use the little Google machine here and
Isn't it with some of the Left 4 Dead guys, or am I tripping? I might be tripping.
Toxic Commando is what that new game. Toxic Commando. So I guess you're taking on. It's an upcoming first-person shooter developed by Saber Interactive, published by Focus Entertainment. Okay, great. But what is the synopsis on it? You know, like,
I remember seeing screenshots of it. It looks pretty cool. It looks pretty.
well, it doesn't look bad. It just, and to be fair, it looks just like mindless fun is what it looks like, right?
Oh yeah, looks like you just mow down a bunch of zombies.
Yeah. Okay. So from what I'm reading here, you accidentally release an entity from the Earth's core called the Sludge God, and it begins to turn mankind into zombies. You know, okay, so the trailer, yeah, had me interested, but I wasn't necessarily hooked. But that synopsis right there actually like has me a little bit more.
In a few short words.
Yeah, I mean, an entity called the Sludge God turning people into zombies. We have a definitive. See, he's got a definitive lore for where his zombies come from. Like last episode, we were talking about like, where do zombies actually come from? There you go. It's the Sludge God.
They come out of my ass.
It soon begins to turn the soil into scum, is what it does, and that makes mankind zombies. Yeah. I read that wrong at first. I thought it said the scum of mankind, and then I said, oh, no. I'm reading that wrong.
So does that mean it just like reanimates all the corpses that are inside of the earth? So would you have like medieval zombies walking around too?
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. That's why this game now sounds kind of interesting to me, because that it's like, see, you're already like thinking of the possibilities of some of the things that you could actually run into while doing,
Yeah, I'm all asking you like
I developed it. Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't know, but I mean, there's an idea right there, like, I mean, because what about zombies who have decayed to such an extent that are you could make amalgamations of stuff. You could have like one freaking like super zombie that's like a bunch of different body parts.
Like I'm wearing the head of a deer.
Exactly. Like some freaking zombie god type thing. It's got like it's the Hecatantris, it's got a bunch of arms on it, the head of a deer, you know what I mean? It's wielding like flails and freaking swords and
the arm of a bear.
Yeah, exactly. Like that would be that game might actually turn out to be really interesting. So, that's definitely one to keep an eye out for now, just because of the possibilities. Or they're just going to keep it real simple and just be like, oh, no, they're just zombies. They're just zombies. They come up out of the ground and whatever.
They eat your mom.
Yeah, they just, they eat your mom. Eat bing bong. But yeah, so that I found that interesting, though, that John Carpenter is actually working on something again, because he's been gone for too long. He's been gone for way too long. He's been making all that residual money from Left 4 Dead. Or Dead by Daylight. Not Left 4 Dead, but Dead by Daylight.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out, that game.
Yes. So, another news. Now that, yes, Claire Obscura won Game of the Year. And the voice actress, the voice actress won Best Performance. I can't remember her name either.
Jennifer, what is it? Jennifer something.
Yeah, I'm Googling it again. Because she apparently, Jennifer English.
Yes.
Is that her name?
Jennifer English.
Yeah, apparently she's kind of a big deal. Because she did the voice for Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate 3, which won Game of the Year, what was it? Last year? Or the year before this last
when it came out.
Yeah, when it came out. And so she did Shadowheart, and then she did the voice for another character that was a big deal as well. Let's see. And I just found that interesting that she's been kind of been circling the hemisphere
slowly blown up.
Yeah, like of this for like a hot minute now. And so everybody's like, now, like, I guess it's become this like mythos now. Like, if you really want your game to succeed, get her to voice somebody. Oh, yeah, she voiced it Latana in Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an Elden Ring.
That's right. Shadowheart and Baldur's Gate 3, and male, I guess is how you pronounce her name, in Claire Obscura. So, like, she's been a part of some.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Oh,
She's also in Wuthering Waves.
yeah, Carlotta in Wuthering Waves, and that was that game was
That game's apparently very popular. I haven't played it.
Yeah, so she's been in some things. She's been in some things.
Yeah, she's good. She is good.
Yeah.
Well, she does. You know, I wanted the Indiana Jones guy to win, but I wasn't upset that she won either. Like I said, if it wasn't going to be the guy that did Indiana Jones, then I wanted it to be anybody off of Claire, and that's exactly one of them off of Claire Obscure. But really, any of those people who voiced in Claire Obscure Expedition 33, I'm not just saying this because I love the game. They all did a great job. Like, they could have chose any of those voice actors, and they would have been spot on because they did that. I mean, that's part of what made that such a good game. The game itself was, it was, of course, it was a blast, but the character development is what really made that game stand out. The story and the character development, and the way you get good character development is by getting good voice actors. So yeah, it was. Any one of them could have won, and I would have been okay.
Well,
just as long as she didn't win.
Yeah, Charlie Cox is one of the voices in Claire Obscura, and I think that's interesting because I didn't know that. And that's Daredevil,
Mm-hmm.
And Daredevil on Netflix was really good. That was a really good show. They've done him dirty since then because Disney took it over, but Netflix understood the assignment and they did a really good job with him. So yeah. But that's kind of my opinion too. Like, at first I was looking at it like, oh, well, because they couldn't give it to Erika Ishii because they wanted to, but it would have just been a travesty. Nobody wanted that. They found a woman that they could give it to, but then I'm looking at her actual, but then I did some research because that's what you should do if you're gonna make an opinion like this. And I realized, oh, well, no, man, she's been circling this hemisphere for a minute and she's been a part of some really good projects. Yeah. And she's done a good job in all of them because Shadowheart, even though she's like the biggest thought in Baldur's Gate 3, if you don't play that game with the expressed opinion of, or like outset of being like, well, I'm going to find somebody to bed, you actually just play the game to get the story and see how everybody's characters develop and stuff. Her story is an interesting one and she does a good job in it. And, yeah, like when she was up there doing her speech, I've listened to Jennifer English talk now, just regular, and I've listened to Shadowheart, and even though I'm like, oh yeah, I can see it, you wouldn't necessarily know it either. Like, if you hadn't been told that that's the voice of Shadowheart, you wouldn't think about it. That shows her range in the way she can do her dialect.
Well, yeah, I mean, in Claire Obscura, she plays as Mael, and Mael is just like, I'm gonna say tops 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? And she plays it well. She doesn't play it like, this immature little kid. She plays it well. She plays basically how a 15 or 16-year-old would react in this type of situation. I'm not sure how old she is, but in my opinion, the feeling that I got was she was about 15, 16 years old.
She's young.
And they may even say in the game, and I just didn't catch it. But yeah, she did a great job. She did a good job.
Yeah, and I got to give it to her because, like, one of the things that I thought about with some of these voice actors is they have a voice for radio. Like, they sound good. Like, I'm not taking that away from them, but they really don't have too many different kinds of personalities that they can change their voice into. And that's just what I call it, changing your voice into different personalities.
Versatility is the word you're looking for.
Exactly.
Versatile.
Yeah. You know,
Jack Nicholson, the actor.
Yeah, like I'm not shooting shots or anything, but like guys like Matthew Mercer, who's a good DM on Critical Role, like I've watched it before. I'm not a huge fan of the show, and I don't really watch it, but I've watched episodes of it before. He's got a good sounding voice and everything, but I've noticed that, you know, he doesn't sound too different when doing, you know, and to be fair, neither do I when I'm DMing, but I'm also not a paid voice actor, you know, I'm just some chud. So there's that. But you know, like I've just noticed that he, you know, when he's wanting to do a bad guy, for instance, he's got a particular voice that he uses that pretty much sounds the same almost every time, you know? Or he's got like a couple that he's got like a couple that he'll do. Like if it's supposed to be proper and it'll sound this way, but if it's supposed to be like dark and menacing, it'll sound this way, you know? Mm-hmm. And she, however, I've noticed does have several voices that she can go to that is varied enough that she doesn't necessarily have to use the same voice every time. And so she can kind of like span that out to where you won't necessarily recognize her in everything she does, you know?
Right. And that's exactly what she does.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what she does.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not, it was funny though, cause I was watching the Game Awards and I was looking at the chat while the Game Awards were going, and she's up there and she's doing her speech, and some people are like, no, it should have been this or it should have been that. Notice nobody in the chat, and this was a very large chat. The scroll was going, so we're talking a very large chat. But you'll notice nobody said Erika Ishii got robbed. But with that said, she's sitting there, she's going, and some people are like, it should have been this person or it should have been that person, whatever. But for the most part, everybody's like, and then she says something about, and I want to thank my wife. And the second she said that, people in the chat start saying, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. So
I love the wrap it up thing.
Yeah, so you have it.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, you have. So there you have it, folks. I'm not the only one out there. There is a lot of people in this world who, a lot more of me than you would like. But yeah, they were like, wrap it up. Here we go, you know, type of attitude. And it's like, yeah, but she's like, I want to thank my wife. Wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. But yeah, regardless of all that though, like, no, she should have won. She's been putting in the work. She definitely deserves it, you know?
Yeah, I fully 100% agree. Like I said, I wanted what's his name to win, and the sole purpose for that was just because he fooled me into thinking he was Harrison Ford. He did that good of a job, but I was okay with Jennifer English winning for sure. The one that I was like, I thought should have won is again Claire Obscure in the best score in music, because man, it's great. I mean, the symphony that they did, that was Claire Obscure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one was Hades 2.
Yeah.
And I was okay with it because I haven't played Hades 2. So I don't know what that music or score sounds like at all. But I mean, it would have to be pretty monumental to beat Expedition 33. You know, 'cause the first Hades I did play, didn't like it. I know a lot of people did. They loved it, da-da-da-da-da. I thought it was just... but I'm not a big fan of those rogue games. They irritate me. That's not to say like the Souls game, the rogue games. Now, the example of that, or the exception of that, is going to be a game we're going to discuss later on when we talk about the games we've been playing. But the first Hades, I was like, dude, I don't care enough about what's going on in this game to have to go through every single boss all over again to reach the end. You know what I'm saying?
That is kind of how I feel about roguelike games also.
It was not engaging enough for me to want to know, well, what's going to happen in this story. To be quite honest with you, I don't care. There was no type of development. The story wasn't strong enough, and I was just like, I'm not going to waste my time doing this to, build up and go through all this thing over and over and over and over again. I'm just not going to do it. Now, Hades 2, I don't know. I haven't played it yet. I'll probably eventually try it out and see if they've improved on, keeping it engaging. But the first Hades, I did not care for. And I know a lot of people did. It got 10 of 10s and 9 of 10s and all this stuff because, I don't know, apparently people thing over and over again, which Einstein warned us about. But, that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is that I couldn't really be angry that they didn't win because I haven't heard the score from Hades 2. But when I do eventually try it out, that's going to be the first thing I'm listening to. Is this better than Clair Obscur? Because I just don't see how it could have been better than Expedition 33 as far as the score, because that score was great. It was, it's not something I bump in the whip, but playing a video game, it was a nice, pleasant sound to hear. You know what I mean? And it fit the game well. So, it is what it is.
I think if I had your car, the only thing I would bump in the whip is the theme song to Knight Rider.
Yeah.
And I would literally drive down the road making sure it blasted outside of my vehicle so the cars next to me could hear my vehicle, could hear the Knight Rider. So everybody would know.
Like cyberwave dubstep.
Yeah.
I can't remember if somebody called it Kit, and I started laughing. I was like, if it started talking to me, that would be exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's It's a very ride for sure. I enjoyed it.
So, in gaming news right now, I'm gonna just give us a hard turn here because it's kind of a new development that's happened. It happened in December, so it's still fairly fresh. December 21st to be exact, 2025. Vince Zampella passed away. Have you heard about this? Do you know who that is?
I heard about that briefly.
Yes, I did hear about that. Yes, I did hear about that.
So I didn't know his name when I first saw it, but I saw what he had done, and I was like, "Oh, no kidding!" And for the audience at home who doesn't recognize that name or may recognize that name now, he is the co-creator of Call of Duty, and he was only 55 when he passed away.
Right, he was killed in a car accident or crash of some type.
Yeah, he crashed his Ferrari, which I mean,
oh right, I saw the video Ferrari, of that too. There's a crazy video of it happening. It's terrible.
Man, it. I saw that and I said, "Wow, well, I mean, it."
People in the comments were like, "What do you expect driving so recklessly?" Blah blah blah, and it's like the dude died.
Yeah, that. When you have a vehicle like a Ferrari, for instance, that can get away from you pretty quickly if you're not careful. I mean, kudos to him. It was a Ferrari, so he was living good up until that point. So I mean, he apparently accomplished everything he wanted to at that point in his life, I suppose. But yeah, I was just kind of like, man, we lost a lot of people in 2025. It got me thinking about that. Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
I mean, that was a shock to me too, because that just came out of the blue. You don't expect that.
Wasn't a Nintendo guy that died as well?
I don't know for sure, but I do know that on January 1st, they named a new president of Nintendo America. and it's a woman named Devin Pritchard. I don't really know much of her significance. I just know that she's apparently primarily worked under like marketing and stuff in the company, and she helped oversee some like major Nintendo Switch game launches like Pokemon Legends Arceus and Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. But other than that, I don't know what significance she really holds in the company.
Well,
Stiff somebody like Iwata.
Is she taking over for Nintendo of America? Is that who she, or
Yeah,
or the one
Nintendo of America. That's right.
Yeah, that's
She's
because Doug Bowser stepped down in September, August, sometime during the summer.
Yeah.
He had stepped
Correct.
down, and he was the president. Bowser.
Yeah. Bowser, yeah.
What's
Doug Bowser.
Yeah. Yeah.
It says here, Kazuki Motoyama died in 2025, creator of the beloved Super Mario manga series.
Okay.
Yeah, so he created the Super Mario manga, and he passed away in 2025, along with Rob Reiner, of all the crazy things, because they just made a Spinal Tap Part 2.
Right.
You know, they just made Spinal Tap Part. Yeah, they just made Spinal Tap Part 2. So that's just crazy to me. You know, and then, of course, you got like Charlie Kirk, but I mean, you know, I don't want to get stuck on that because that's a whole conversation on of its own. But like, you know, when I heard about what happened to Rob Reiner, I was just like, man, because I love Spinal Tap. I love that movie. You know, I love that show All in the Family. You know, I couldn't stand his character per se, but you're not really supposed to. I think they originally created the show with the idea that you were supposed to like side with Rob Reiner's character, but Archie Bunker's just the man, and so you're not gonna side with Meathead, for instance. But
he didn't just pass away; he was literally murdered.
Yeah, well, that, I mean, yeah,
right.
It's a sad thing. Whether, you know, not to get too political in this because I think we've already hit enough politics, but whether I agreed with his politics or not, the fact of the matter is this man is dead in one of the most heinous ways possible. And
I agree.
Because of that, my heart just kind of goes out. Whether he, you know, some of the things he said were very despicable, you know, and not just because I disagreed with it, but they were literally despicable. Like saying, you know, he wishes that Trump was assassinated, more or less. He said if it was just a couple more inches, it would have gotten Trump. You know what I'm saying? That's an evil thing to say. So he's probably a very evil man. But at the same time, you know, he was murdered, you know, and that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. I don't care if I agree with him, like him or not. That it's a very sad thing. And my heart goes out to his family and loved ones.
I really liked Spinal Tap is all I was getting at. I was just like,
he's great.
Surprised that that, you know, like him, Hulk Hogan, I mean, the whatever that guy's name was again, Zappella from Call of Duty. Like we just lost a lot of people in 2025. I noticed, like, and maybe it's always that way. Maybe every year you just have people that you just can't believe pass away. You know, but
I can't remember if it was what year was it. I want to say 21, 22, something like that. But it's one right after the other, just bam, bam, bam. And I remember I called it the year of the because everybody was just dying. I was like, good grief. But yeah, we did lose quite a bit in 2025.
You know who also passed away in 2025? I believe it was 2025. Maybe it was 2024, but I want to say it was 2025. I'm gonna double check it and make sure, but
we lost Ozzy in 2025.
Yeah, we lost Ozzy Osbourne in 2000. Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne. But somebody who nobody talks about, or I haven't heard a lot about, and I accidentally found out that this guy had passed away, was an actor by the name of Julian McMahon. And you might not recognize the name, but I guarantee you know the actor because he played Doctor Doom in the Jessica Alba Fantastic Four movies.
And he was also in Nip Tuck.
He was in
main character in that.
The last role he played was in that movie that came out
as well. Oh no, that's no. Too Fast, Too Furious was the guy that's in Yellowstone. I forget his name.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember who was in Too Fast, Too Furious. I saw that in theaters too, and I was just kind of like, I don't. I'm glad I didn't pay for this ticket. Oh, yeah. I was not.
So I saw it a lot.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. You worked there. Yeah. I was not really impressed with that movie at all. Tokyo Drift, I really liked. But the last movie he was in was a movie with Nicolas Cage not too long ago that came out in 2025 called The Surfer.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of that movie?
I have not.
You heard anything about that? So it's really good. The crazy thing about it is it's actually really good and interesting, and then it just like completely falls apart at the very end. I mean, like the last 10 minutes of it or so, it just instantly, it's like, oh, because it's one of those movies that makes you question your, like, what you're supposed to be thinking about it the entire time. It keeps you guessing the entire time, and you think you know what's going on, but part of you is also saying, well, it couldn't be that though, right? Like, nah, couldn't be that. And then I don't know, like, but yeah, that was like the last movie he was in. and then like just like maybe like a few months after that, he just passes away. And I actually found out about that when I was looking into that movie The Surfer to see if like perhaps I misunderstood it. You know, like certainly it's not that bad. Certainly it's deeper than what, you know, and it basically is what it is, but then I found out, you know, Dr. Doom passed away, and I was like, whoa, no way. Yeah, nobody was talking about it, though.
Yeah, I did say Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman died.
Yeah, he's another one that, like, his, like, it's kind of mysterious or something, what happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was like Luthor, wasn't he?
Yeah. You say what?
He was Lex Luthor?
Yeah. He was Lex Luthor, yeah. In the 80s movie with Christopher Reeve. Yep. Gene Hackman. He died. Diane Keaton died. George Foreman died. There was the girl from Eurotrip.
Buffy. Yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah. Not Buffy herself, but she was on
Trachtenberg. Yeah.
Yeah, she's one that went way too soon, man. Way too soon.
Val Kilmer, Robert Redford, Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yeah. He's another one, yeah.
Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did lose a lot. We lost. And, you know, a lot of them were young, you know. Like that girl from Eurotrip, I think she was only, in her 30s, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's sad. These are Charlie Kirk, of course. You know, that's a lot, that's sad. But, you know, it just goes to show there is not a guarantee on life. And every day that you wake up is actually a blessing. It's a blessing that we all take for granted, for sure. And it's crazy.
Speaking of Michael Madsen, here's a hot take, but I think Reservoir Dogs is a better movie than Pulp Fiction.
I do not.
Yeah, I know.
It's pretty dang good, though.
Huh?
It's pretty dang good.
It's a great game.
I know a lot of people think that Pulp Fiction is the best Quentin Tarantino movie that, you know, and to be fair, that, you know, that's a fair statement, just because that is the movie that, like, you know, while Reservoir Dogs got the industry looking his direction. Pulp Fiction is really the movie that blew him up, blew Quentin Tarantino up, and made him who he is today. But I just like there's a certain like aspect to Reservoir Dogs that I just really like appreciate. It's low budget. I mean, it really is a low budget movie, and it's kind of, it sort of reminds me of a one act play.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
fair enough. I can see that.
Yeah, it really does. Like, sure, it's got several locations that they do in the movie, but I mean, honestly, the majority of the movie takes place in one spot. And it really does. It just reminds me of a one-act play. It's kind of like a one-act play where, because it's film and not theater, they have the option to do flashbacks in separate locations as opposed to one-act plays where they would do like tricks with the lighting and stuff. And
you dedicate one portion of the stage to flashbacks and
things of that nature. Yeah.
Tricks.
You know, yeah, and I know Crazy knows what I'm talking about when I say this because he was in West Side Story when he was younger, so he knows how theater really works and how they do that. I remember going to see him in West Side Story with the dance flashback, and that's exactly what they did. They did a flashback and they just lowered the lighting and shined it on one section of the stage and dedicated.
And I was a totally different character. Mm-hmm. Than who I was in the play. I was Tony in the flashback because they had decided that I was the best dancer. So they made me Tony. But in the actual play, I was Chino.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm a little Spanish guy.
So like, you know what I'm saying when I say that it harkens itself to a one act play in that sense. You know, it really does. And I just really appreciate that vibe that movie gives. So even though it's technically not the greatest movie Quentin Tarantino ever made, of course not. It's not what, you know.
Well, I mean, it's pretty good.
In my opinion, it's a better movie.
That I didn't like, if I'm being honest.
I didn't like The Hateful Eight. I wasn't a huge fan of The Hateful Eight.
I don't know what it was. His best by any means, but I can't say that I didn't like it.
No, it was all right.
I enjoyed it. It you know, where Pulp Fiction is a 10 out of 10 for me, Hateful Eight is more like, thank you, is a 7 or 10. You know what I'm saying? And Reservoir Dogs for me is a 9 out of 10, where Pulp Fiction is a 10 out of 10. And then, you know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is about an 8. Four Rooms is
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is great. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, it's a great flick. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Watch it because it fictionally ties in a real world event that has actually happened in American history. And I won't go any further than that if you haven't seen it. But that was the wow factor for me. I was not expecting it. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, wait a second. That's, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, okay. And that's what made the movie better for me, was just that aspect of the film.
Well, what I liked about it was he got me twice, because when I was watching, for instance, when I was watching Inglourious Bastards, right? And the whole point of Inglourious Bastards is, you know, they're planning to assassinate Hitler and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how this is going to fail. And then they succeed. And I was like, oh, it's alternate history. It's an alternate timeline he's created here. Interesting, you know? Once Upon a Time in America did this, or America, I did the same thing. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did the same thing to me when, you know, and I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like he's cultivated an entire universe of his own in that sense, you know. But he got me twice with it, because I did not see that coming, you know, like I was like, oh, he did it to me again. You know, yeah,
Speaking
that
of Once
is.
Upon a Time in America, um, that stars Robert De Niro.
Mhm.
And the Oscars, the Oscar committee has asked Robert De Niro not to come to the Oscars, not to come to the Academy Awards.
Well, he's got
What?
he's got the derangement syndrome.
Because they say that he's too unhinged. Well, they all have the derangement syndrome, which
Is
we're
he
not
like
going to get.
just lost who De Niro is, or what? So, what do you mean by that?
There's this thing that's going around, and even there are psychologists in the world, like top psychologists who have labeled this. You know, they're saying no, this is an actual thing. Like these people have a problem. It's called Trump derangement syndrome, where all they want to talk about is Trump this and Trump that. Like a meteorite could hit the world right now, and they'd be like, "Well, if Trump hadn't," and it's like Trump doesn't control space. You know what I'm saying? Like for crying out loud, like.
I see.
So yeah, he's got
It's
the bad derangement syndrome. Like all they want to talk about.
It's not a joke. It's not a joke. The psychiatrists all over the world are literally labeling it a mental disease. It's been labeled straight up a mental disease. Because you can dislike somebody all you want. You know what I mean? I don't, particularly care for, Robert De Niro, for example. But I'm not going to sit there. I like his movies. Don't get me wrong. I do like a lot of his movies. But I'm not going to sit there and talk about Robert De Niro in every single conversation. You know what I'm saying? And what these people do is they talk about Trump and not in a good light at all in every single conversation, every single thing. It's always Trump this, Trump that. You could be talking about sports, and they bring up Trump somehow. Somehow they're going to bring up Donald Trump. And
Yeah,
the psychiatrists and psychologists, not to steer too far away from what the main purpose of this podcast is about, is they have said this is a mental illness. They're not saying that disagreeing with Trump is a mental illness. They're not saying that if you don't like Trump is a mental illness. They're saying when you
Just the need to
do
work it
nothing,
into every conversation, the
work
obsessive
into
factor.
every conversation, and it's obsessing your entire life, and you're blaming every bad thing that happens in your life and the world on Trump, then that's a derangement syndrome, and it's not normal. It's not normal. A good description would be, fat women with purple hair and a bull ring in their nose. Those people normally
Nice.
have Trump derangement syndrome. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, that could be very well why they have asked him not to come. But yeah, I read about that the other day, that they've asked Robert De Niro not to show up at the Academy Awards.
well, because they know, and that's the thing, they know that politics is ruining everything. You know, it's like ruining everything. Like, it doesn't have to be a part of everything. Not everything has to be about it. I know,
Right.
I know we started off this podcast tonight kind of dipping our toes into it ourselves, but that's just because we're talking about the problems in the gaming industry, and the problems in the gaming industry is politics, but,
Sure.
but me myself, it's like, but there's also a lot of good games out there. I know for a fact because you were saying the other day, Crazy, that since we did our last podcast, you yourself have beaten 3 games now? Like have actually
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah.
yeah, like what are the like I know that you've been putting in some work. I myself have been stuck on just one game, and that's Where Winds Meet. Like, and I could go on forever about that. But basically, whenever in short, to make a long story short, whenever I get to feeling like maybe I'm giving too much time to this game and I need to go back to other games and start doing other things, it introduces something else to me. And I'm like, oh, well, I've got to know about that now. I gotta, now I gotta do this. I've got, You know,
You know,
like,
that's an
now,
original game. You know what
you
I mean?
know,
Like that where wins me is a ongoing game. I
yeah,
don't think you ever like hit the end of that game. You know what I'm saying? I got two ongoing games that I played Fortnite and then I played Disney Dreamlight Valley. You know, trying to do something casual, relax. You know what I'm saying? I played Disney. You know, Fortnite is an ongoing, never going to beat Fortnite because it's not a game that you beat. It's a game. It's an ongoing game. Whereas the three games that I beat, they're not ongoing games. You know, there's an actual end to that game. So, you know, yeah, it's just tearing yourself away from an ongoing game to play a game where you want to be. And if you're that into your ongoing game, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're discovering new things every day you play the game. You know, it is what it
well,
is.
yeah, I beat the campaign mode right now on there, the main story, but like they've got it written down on there, or not written down, but they've, it says coming soon more, so yeah, it is
Oh,
definitely an ongoing game. Uh, and yeah, and it's just a fun game. It's beautiful. It's
yeah,
I've hit the cap basically, and so now
the
I'm
holidays showed me that it was on the mobile phone, which I didn't know. Downloaded. I haven't started it yet because I really haven't had much time to really delve into any type of mobile games. But I did download it, so I'm gonna definitely check it out. I'm sure the
well,
gameplay on a mobile phone is a lot different than the PC, but at least it'll give me a taste of how the game is.
It's surprisingly intuitive though. And if you have a controller that'll Bluetooth to your phone, it'll still register it.
Oh, that's cool because I got the Xbox Xbone or whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that thing is great. It's great for mobile gaming.
yeah. You said you playing a Disney game?
Oh yeah, I mean that's just an ongoing casual game. It's just kind of a you got all the Disney characters and you unlock them and you build their houses and they got all these little things that you do and all these
That's
little different
crazy.
contests and stuff.
That's crazy. I don't know how you playing Disney when Disney's too busy playing themselves. Aha! Anyway,
He just wanted to
sorry.
set up for that joke.
I did. I really did. Yes, I did. I did. I did. I did.
Yeah, I'm a
You
Disney
played
fan.
yourself, dude.
I grew up. I mean, I'm not Disney fan in the corporation itself. We all know how they are, but not to go too deep into that. But as far as like the cartoons and stuff, I mean, that's what I was raised with. I love
Oh
Disney.
yeah, some of the
All the Disney
Disney's
cartoons and all that
oh
stuff.
Disney games used to be legit, man. Used to be legit. Rescue Rangers,
It's one of
DuckTales,
the hardest games ever created,
Darkwing
with
Duck.
the exception of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on NES, were Disney games. Aladdin and The Lion King on the Genesis.
Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah,
and those were
yeah.
supposed to be kids games, and I was like, bro, this is the hardest game I think I've ever played in my life. This is
Yeah, but they
hard.
were fun though. They were fun though. I remember especially the Aladdin game, man. Although I played that on Super Nintendo and I went to a buddy's house when we lived in New Mexico. And I was at my buddy's house and he had that and I ended up just sitting down and just goofing off with it casually at first and then I really got spun off on it and I made it all the way to the end before I got kicked off of it. Like I was trying to beat that final boss battle where Jafar's the snake or something, and you're like trying to balance on his coils while wrecking him. And yeah, and then he started complaining to his grandma that I'm just sitting there on the game or whatever, and so she made us go outside, and I was so freaking mad at him. I was like, bro, you watched me get to the very end and then started acting like a freaking baby. Like, what is your freaking problem? Like,
You're
maybe he
ruining
just,
my vibe.
yeah, maybe he just didn't like the fact that I almost beat his game in like one day, and perhaps he hadn't even ever gotten that far. I don't know. So, how some people be, but
But my favorite Disney game definitely has got to be DuckTales. DuckTales was such a fun game.
yeah, yes, I love that and Rescue Rangers for the original NES. Oh
Yep.
man, I love those two games so stinking much.
Fun.
Yeah.
And they remastered or redid them too. They're available on current gen systems.
Oh,
At
I
least
just get it.
DuckTales is. I'm not sure about Rescue Rangers, but I know DuckTales is.
I
I'm pretty
usually
sure
just
Rescue
go and
Rangers
like
is as well.
get emulators on the PC and do it that way, you know.
Yeah, you can do that too.
What was it? Last old school game that I beat. It was for a review, and it was Flashback. You remember Flashback?
Oh yeah, Flashback was awesome.
Yeah, that was the last one I beat for a review, and man, I forgot just how crazy that game actually is. How freaking hard that game is, man. That game is ridiculously hard. And it's not a kids game, so it's not like one of those things where like this is supposed to be for kids, but like I was like, is this necessary though? Is this really that necessary? You know, you're throwing all this at me right now, like to you know, it's not like the controls on there are the most tight either. Like that game, its controls are not extremely tight, and it like
No old school games really have a very tight per se controls, really. But I mean, that's not necessarily their fault. They didn't have the ability to do that. So, yeah.
yeah. Let me pause this real quick.
Okay.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. I had to go on a hiatus for a second there. Oh yeah, so Crazy. Tell us about the games that you have beaten though, because we were just talking about Disney games and this and that, and our love for old school Disney games. But what are the games that you have actually recently
Completed.
smoked? Yeah, smoked.
Okay, so last podcast I was talking about, I was playing The Outer Worlds 2, and I finished that up, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a little bit too short, but it turned out to be a really fun, entertaining game. I think they did a really good job on it. It does have replayable value to it because, well, like most Fallout games, you have your different, Fallout games, you have your different sects, and, depending on who you side with or whatever is going to be the outcome of the game. And it's like that, so you could probably play it 4 times and take different see how you want to, the different. I'm sure there's difference for each one that you do, and as far as how to end up in the completion of the game, if you will. One thing that I do have a complaint about is, you're working for the Earth Directive or something like that, right? That's like your main thing that you work for, and I don't feel, other than the fact of, like I was talking about in the last podcast, where it would say, we're going to give you this perk, but you're going to have this negative thing that happens to you, that comes from the Earth Directive. Other than that, you really don't interact with the Earth Directive at all. So I feel like the Earth Directive is kind of meaningless in that game. Other than that, I would have liked to see more on the lore, I guess you can say, of the Earth Directive and why you're doing what you're doing really in the first place. Which it kind it does touch on that a little bit, but I feel like you should have interacted with somebody from the Earth Directive. You know what I mean? And you don't. You never do. It's just
like a handler or something. Like
yeah. It's just that's who you work for, and you're supposed to uphold their values, this, that, and the third, and that's it. And I feel like they kind of missed a pretty good opportunity with that. I kept expecting that was going to end up on Earth. You know what I'm saying? I kept expecting eventually I was going to end up on Earth, and I was going to be put into this predicament of, am I going to do what the Earth Directive tells or am I going to continue on the path that I'm doing for these other people? You know what I mean? Some kind of conundrum like that. And it never happened, and that was kind of disappointing. But excuse me, other than that, it was it was an entertaining game, and I enjoyed it. Um, I don't think it was like game of the year material or anything like that. Even if there wasn't a Claire Obscure, um, I wouldn't be like, it wasn't that wow. It's about a 7 to 10 for me. About a 7 out of 10 as far as that goes. So after I beat that game, um, I started playing a game called Saifu. I don't know if any of you have heard of that.
Sifu?
Yes.
Yeah, where every time you die, you age.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
played that game.
Oh, that's a great game.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I beat that game in like 3 or 4 hours. But did you guys complete it?
I've only played a little bit of it. I've
that
given
game's
it a
hard.
yeah.
I made it through like the second stage.
Very difficult. But yeah, I beat it. I enjoyed it. I thought that was a very cool idea. That was the roguelike game that I was talking about when I was saying I don't really care for rogue games. That is a rogue game, to a certain extent, because if you die, if you end up getting to be 70 years old or whatever it is where it cuts you off, um, you got to go through all that all over again. You can't just start
Mm-hmm.
where you were. So in that aspect, I did. But the thing is that I figured out combos, different perks and stuff like that. That really helped me in the game, and I really like that. Once I figured out, not necessarily the combos like fighting combos, but like what skills to upgrade, and what perks to get. You know what I'm saying? Once I figured that out, it helped me tremendously. And then, finding the shortcuts, because there's shortcuts so you don't have to go through all it. Kind of like Liza P. I don't know if you guys have played that. But, you can open up these shortcuts to where you don't have to go through 8 million, enemies to get back to where you need to be. You can take that shortcut. You're going to fight enemies, of course, but you can get there a lot quicker than going through the entire board all over again to get to where you need to be. And I will say this, that the last boss, it took me a minute, but once I figured out how to do it with the last boss, it wasn't that difficult after I did that. I think not the second to last boss, but the boss before that boss was probably the hardest boss in the game for me. And that could be just the way that my perks were set up, and the different things that I had unlocked wasn't a good match for that boss. But that boss took me a good 2.5 to 3 hours to beat. I just grinding to get back to her and fight her over and over again because she was difficult. But yeah, that was a good game. And then after I beat that, I played Trials of Mana, which is kind of like, it's an RPG game. I later found out that it's part of the Final Fantasy series, but not the Final Fantasy series 7, 8, da 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 da. But it's
the Mana franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that old. It's like a hack and slash RPG. Kind of put me in the mindset of what was that old school game? It was, I think it was on Genesis and Nintendo, but I know for sure it was on Beyond Oasis. Remember Beyond Oasis?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, only obviously better graphics and better moving, and the 3D aspect to it, and anime. It's an anime type game, and that was pretty fun, for what it was. I enjoyed that. It kind of gave me that nostalgia feeling, I guess you could say, of playing that. And now I am playing Resident Evil 2 Remastered. Now, something that may surprise the both of you is the only Resident Evil game that I shouldn't say that I played, because I did play a little bit of Resident Evil 7 and a little bit of Resident Evil 6 and a little bit of Resident Evil 3. Never completed them. just was like, I think they were demos or something like that, and I tried them out. The only Resident Evil game that I've ever played and completed was the first Resident Evil. So when I went into Resident Evil 2, while it was a lot like the first Resident Evil, there's a lot more to it that is not like the first Resident Evil. And I have to tell you guys that I am playing this game, and there are moments I have to play it in increments because I can feel my heart about the beat right out of my chest. That game,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 Remake, I haven't played the original version of it, but Resident Evil 2 Remake, when I was playing it, I sat in the dark the whole time. And you're not kidding. Like, it can be pretty scary sometimes, like, running through those environments, just trying to freaking survive.
I don't mean like, the zombies coming out, because I expect that. I expect the zombies. I expect the dogs to bust through. Well, in this case, they come out through the vents, but through the windows, the zombies coming in and stuff like that. I expect that. What scares the crap out of me is Mr. X.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mr.
precisely.
X is terrifying. And the first time I ran
around
into
a corner.
Yeah, this is how you can tell that I'm a seasoned gamer. Because, and I'm not trying to float my own boat here, but the first time, you meet Mr. X, you go up the stairs where the helicopter crashed, and here comes Mr. X, and he lifts up that helicopter, right?
Uh-huh.
I didn't even wait. Most people be like, oh, and they start busting out their guns and start shooting. I saw him lift up that helicopter. At first, I don't even know what Mr. X looks like. All I know is that there's this like gigantic Hulk that just picked up this helicopter that's on fire and nothing happened to him. I saw him do that. I turned around and ran. It wasn't till later on when I'm up in the clock tower and I'm seeing him walk through the main hall that I even actually knew what this thing looked like. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what it looks like? Because I didn't waste any time. I saw him lift it up. As soon as the game gave me the opportunity to run, I did the 180 move that the game provides and was 180 in my butt out of there. And I did. I took off. And really, for the most part, I don't see him much because as soon as I even have an inkling that he's around, I'm running. I take off. Now, there's one exception to that. I was in the jail. And I don't know if y'all remember this part. This is a little bit of a spoiler alert, but I was doing the electric panel puzzle or whatever, and I set that off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, now find your way out of the parking garage. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got everything I need. Again, I check everything for every item, for everything that I can find. I've gotten every possible thing that I could find within our, and I'm like, okay, here you go. I've got everything I need. I'm out of here. Prior to that, I killed, because, I saw the jail cells with all the zombies in it. Okay. So I knew when I got the power up, those jail cells were going to open up and, those zombies were going to come out. So I thought I was a smart guy and I shot them while they were in the jail. Killed them. So I didn't think I had a problem. I thought I was going to be out the door, out the parking lot, and on to the next terrifying moment in this game. That's not quite how this happens. It goes off. I come around the corner and there's just zombies everywhere. And I'm looking at my ammo on both my shotgun and my pistol, and I'm like, there's no way. There is absolutely going to be able to shoot all these zombies. So, okay, no big deal. Flashbangs. I'll flashbang them past them. So that's exactly what I did. Running past these zombies that are flashbanged, I think I'm home free. Here comes Mr. X, who just clotheslines me. I about jumped out of the bed. I was like, oh, I think I may have even screamed.
Eat a little.
What you doing? This game is terrifying, This scared me to death. So, so he did that, and he grabbed me, and I stabbed him, and again, didn't wait. I'm not going to try to shotgun him. I'm not going to try to pistol him. There's no way to kill this guy. I already know that. At least not right now. Maybe later on in the game, I don't know. But as of right now, I do not have the artillery to kill the zombie Hulk. And I took off out the door, out to the parking garage, and that's about where I'm in the sewers now. And I've got this gargantuan alligator that is trying to eat me. But I got ate one time, and that. But I'll get back. I had to go to work, so I had to get off it. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That game is absolutely terrifying. I had played some scary games before, but that one, that and Dead by Daylight, of course. Dead by Daylight. You're trying to fix a generator.
Yeah,
and
there's plenty of jump scares in Dead by Daylight. Yeah, just because of the way the mechanics work. Yeah.
Yeah, you hear the Huntress's voice going on, singing that stupid song. That's terrifying.
The
to me
Wraith
as well.
chimes his bell, and you're like, "Oh, you're right there!" Yeah.
Or you hear the spirit. The spirit starts.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
That's the type of stuff that scares me. It's not actually seeing, somebody get killed or something like that. It's the not knowing, am I safe? Am I safe?
Yeah.
To be fair, Resident Evil 7, the little bit that I played on that was terrifying. I feel like I'm in Texas Chainsaw Massacre's house.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that one's really scary. I haven't had a chance to get
actually
at
really
that one.
good. I beat that one too, and by the end of it, I was like, "Bravo!"
Yeah,
there are some truly scary moments in that one because it's different. It's first person.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing about these games. When you get to you really do feel accomplished. Like, I can't believe I just survived that. You know what I'm saying? I was able to get the Jack bar that's in a place that is clear across the map or in another map, to go back to the library, to jack up the bookshelf, to push over with this mutated Hulk chasing me the entire time. And I was able to do that. I accomplished that. I feel very accomplished. Somehow I survived that, but crap, I only got 2 bullets. So
it really does make you feel like a boss.
I understand the hype for Resident Evil games now. I really do. I mean, it's made a believer out of me playing it, because the first Resident Evil was, it was scary, and it was whatever.
It was different. You you didn't know what to expect with it. You didn't know what to expect with it, and it threw you for a loop.
I think with Resident Evil 2, I think they really made it better, and I hope that as the games go on, because I'm going to play them all now, as the games go on, that they continue to be, better. They continue to do stuff that the other game didn't.
If you think
Resident Evil 2, especially knowing the time period that game came out, it's really a really good game, and I can see why it's won all the awards and all the hype for it and everything else, because that game, it's terrifying, and it's got a good balance between action and puzzle solving, you know what I mean, type stuff, and survival.
Mm-hmm.
It meshes all 3 of those genres, if you will, really well. And and the story so far is pretty good. I obviously don't know what's going on. I mean, I know the gist of it. Umbrella's a crazy thing, and Welker's who Welker is, but as far as I met Ada and stuff like that. I want to know further on what's going on with that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I wanted to know more about Ada the first time I met her too.
Oh,
yeah.
Who doesn't?
And then
I know women that want to know more about Ada
the first time they meet her.
And they're heterosexuals.
Yeah. If you think Resident Evil, if you think Mr. X is bad, play the third one. Wait till you experience the Nemesis, because that doesn't play around.
What Nemesis looks like.
Yeah, but
if that's who's in I'm not looking forward to that at all.
That's who's in the third one. Yeah, he's the Mr. X of the third one, but he is far. I don't. I wouldn't say he's as sinister as Mr. X. Would you, Android? I wouldn't say he's as sinister as Mr. X. He's just
not
more
sinister. He's just different.
Yeah, he's just
It's a
more
different
like
kind of scary,
yeah, he's like in your face. Like you're not
aggressive and grotesque.
Yeah, and he hits you at the worst possible moments where you're just like, I'm not prepared for this, and it's like, yeah, I'm not ready for this at all. Like,
the one thing that I think I wish Resident Evil 2 did have is a way to dodge. That would be so beneficial in a game where you have the Hulk chasing you.
It would be too easy.
Is if somehow you could dodge like underneath him or back up or something.
Yeah,
you just
not even a roll.
If he's got you cornered, you're
done.
You're screwed.
Yeah, you're done.
You're done.
Yeah, just don't get cornered.
That screen.
Just don't get.
You're
cornered.
Gonna see that screen. The iconic. You're dead.
Yeah.
Hope your knife has some health.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Resident Evil 4 is really good too. Resident Evil 4 is really good. Resident Evil. Yeah, it's really good. Resident Evil 5, it's okay.
I like Resident Evil 5.
I didn't dislike it.
It's divisive.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. I called in for work sick so I could beat it. But it's not. It's just. Well, it's one of those. So a lot of things come.
It feels more like an action game, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things get resolved in that one, and you could just tell that Resident Evil 5 is where they were beginning to make this change within their narrative, henceforth, like Resident Evil 7 and so on and so forth, they had just they had come to a point within the main plot of the game where it was like, well, what more can we do? And it just kind of shows. It just kind of shows, but it is satisfying. There is some satisfying stuff in Resident Evil 5 just because you have been working towards this moment for a long time. And so it's nice,
Wait, what was Resident Evil 8? Was there a Resident Evil 8?
What was that?
The one with the vampire chicks.
Yeah, The Village, right? Is that what it's called? The Village?
Yeah, big titty goth mommy.
Yeah, I haven't played that one either.
I haven't played it either.
I haven't played a Resident. So I played Resident Evil like 1. Well, technically, I've played Resident Evil 0 through 5, and I didn't play Resident Evil 6. I heard Resident Evil 6 was hot garbage though. I didn't play it. I heard it wasn't any good. So
hot garbage it may be, but I am still going to try it.
But I haven't played it.
Yeah.
I played the demo for it, but I didn't ever play it.
Was it any good?
The demo was fun, but it was the first one that was first person.
Yeah.
As I recall.
Yeah, that's what I played was the demo. No, I thought the sixth one you were multiplayer thing where two people could play at the same time.
Well, no,
I think that's right.
You could do that in Resident Evil 5 too. You can play 2 players in Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, but it's different in 6 because it's first person.
Yeah,
and it's like I think you could do up to 4 player split screen.
Yeah, like I had heard it was like online or something like that, and people were just not really happy with it. They were like, it's just kind of. I heard it wasn't anything about the gameplay necessarily, that it was just really bland, that there was no innovation to it, is what I had heard.
It wasn't like the other games where you got to go around finding items and stuff like that. It was more arcadish.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, just online MMO, like not even MMO, but just FPS MMO, Call of Duty style.
Multiplayer type stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like did you ever play that game Lost Planet by Capcom? Was it Lost Planet or Forgotten Planet?
Great game.
Yeah, it was
Lost Planet.
Did you play the second one?
Yeah, I love those games.
I did not like the second one because they did that same thing. They made it multiplayer and then yada yada yada, and it was just, I don't know. It just kind of, it wasn't really inventive. It was just multiplayer now. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the same vibe I got with Resident Evil. That it was just, it's multiplayer now. Nothing really inventive about it. It's just multiplayer now. Like, you know, Call of Duty kind of multiplayer. But no, I love the first Lost Planet. I when I worked in Colorado, up there in the mountains and stuff, and we didn't have a lot to do because we were basically camping and working at the same time. But we did have like some electricity and stuff. So we had an Xbox 360, and we had that game Lost Planet, and that I dedicated my time to that. I was going to work and then coming home at night and playing that, you know. Yeah, I really love that game. And that final level on that game, that it just goes, it suddenly you're like a Gundam. And I'm like, what? I'm not prepared for this. I wasn't ready for this. Like, you know, it felt like having to learn a whole new game for the final fight. Yeah, but it was good. It was a good game.
There's a lot to learn, and you better learn it fast.
Yeah, it's a hard fight, especially since it's such a tonal shift. It makes it even harder, but it's fun.
Yeah, I agree. It was a lot of fun. Me and Adam would spend so much time playing that game.
The Lost Planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was a great game.
That's pretty much what me and this kid did with Resident Evil 5. He went out and bought it when it came out, brought it over to my place, and we started playing it. But I had work the next day. And I just kept on playing. And the next thing I know, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I've got work in like a couple hours. And I just called in. I was like, "There's no way. There's just no way." So I called in, and then I sat down, and I looked, and I realized, man, we've pretty much beat like almost a third of this game already. So I was like, "Yeah." Let's finish it.
That's when you know you're playing a good game, is when you lose sense of time. And that is why I should say that if I'm playing a game and it's, you know, evening time or whatever, and if I have to work the next day, I set an alarm. I will set an alarm for that alarm to go off to let me know it is this time and you need to go to sleep if you plan to go to work the next day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if not, I mean, I've done what you've said before. I'll be playing a game and then be like, oh man, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning and I've got to go to work at 8. You know, it's like, oh man, I'm going to be hurting, and I don't ever want to do this again to myself. So yeah, that's what I do. I set an alarm on my cell phone at, you know, whatever time I feel like I need to go to bed. And then when that goes off, I don't care where I'm at. I'm like, okay, I don't care how much fun I'm having. I'm going to regret it in the morning if I do not go to bed right now, because I'll be like, oh, I could play another hour or whatever. And I'll think that, you know, maybe 30 minutes has passed and 2 hours have passed. So yeah, my alarm clock has saved my life.
Yeah, that's happened to me here lately with where winds meet. I'm like, okay, it's only 7 o'clock. I've got time, you know. And then finally, I'm kicking it off, and I'm like, it's already 1. How is it 1 o'clock already? Yeah. That game seems to have that ability where you can just kind of tune it out, or tune out the time, and just kind of, it's real grind heavy, but it's not bad, not like monotonous, you know.
Right.
They do have like yeah, they have like daily stuff you can do that will help boost your equipment and stuff and things like that, but none of that takes a substantial amount of time to actually accomplish and just do. And the better you get at the game, the quicker that stuff will go. Like when I first started playing and my gear was less than spectacular, clearing outposts took me a minute because, you know, the enemies are just giving me a hard time or whatever. Now I walk into outposts and I'll clear them within a matter of like minutes. And
there's nothing that feels inaccessible, because if you look at the menu, like you really look at the menus, it tells you how to obtain everything that you want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Right.
It helps. The hardest thing about that in general is just learning the menu system. Because the menu system is kind of iffy. It's kind of iffy. They have so many different kinds of,
like, where is the thing that I'm looking for?
Yeah, they have so many dang menus and so many dang things, and it's just like I don't really know how to get to this one particular thing in the menus that I want to look at until you just kind of learn the pathways. So in that sense, it's not incredibly intuitive, but at the same time, though, it is incredibly intuitive. Like Android was saying, if there's something that you need to have that will help you upgrade this particular thing or yada yada yada, it'll tell you. It'll tell you where you can find it and what you got to do to get it. And you just got to go and do it. That's it. Sometimes
even if it's a part of a quest that you haven't discovered, it'll set you a tracker to how to, like, where to go for your first steps on that quest.
Exactly.
Like, where do I go to start this quest? It'll show
Really
you.
user friendly.
Yeah, like your inner ways, right? These are like passive abilities that buff your character, for instance. It never tells you where exactly to find your inner ways because you can't really find them per se. They're your inner ways. It's kind of like coming to, like, I guess a good way of explaining it is it's like gaining understanding of it more than like finding a particular scroll or this or that just tells you, hey, you now have this ability. It treats it more like martial arts in the sense where it's like, no, you just now understand how to do that martial art. So because of that, it doesn't really tell you where you can find it. What it does is it gives you a broad area and says, here's the clue on where you can learn this ability.
Where you can learn that way.
Okay. Yeah, and then you just gotta like search around. And 9 times out of 10, an inner way is gained through some kind of quest. So what you're doing is you're walking through that area looking for a quest that will unlock that inner way for you.
I got you.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like I said, it's grind heavy, but it never feels monotonous. You know, and they're constantly updating it to
like the old JRPG and even some new JRPGs like Octopath Traveler. I love that game, don't get me wrong. But there was like several times where for 2 to 3 hours I'm just going through the same dungeon over and grinding just so I could level up my characters so I could fight, the boss that I had to fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's frustrating. That's such a frustrating thing.
Yeah, this is more Souls-like. If you run into a boss you can't beat, you just walk away. You just walk away until you can gain enough experience to come back and actually put up a fight against this particular guy. And some of them are like just ridiculously hard. Some of them are just ridiculously
There's
hard.
one of them that I am still stuck on, with that dude with the masks, with the 3 masks.
Yeah,
with like Yan Tian or something like that.
Yeah, the monk. Yeah.
He is so freaking stupid hard, man.
Yeah.
Like, he just stomps me in the ground. I suck.
But no, he's tough, man. There's there's people there's people. I was reading some of those signposts, and there's some people, man, who I looked and they were leaving messages being like, it's been 6 hours and I still can't beat this guy. You know, like, yeah, nah, that dude is hard. That dude is hard. I walked away from him for a long time before I finally felt confident enough that I was like, I think I could take him now. I think I have enough juice that I think I could go and possibly survive. And even then, he beat me the first time I went back. You know, like he beat me. Not even the first time. He beat me the first couple of times I went up against him. But I was like, but I'm getting better. I could see that there was progress there, so I just needed to like lock in, I guess. I said, no, I'm giving him a run for his money though. I'm getting him. So I did, and eventually I got him, but like even then, so it's I wouldn't say you suck. I would say that what is
I can get him into that third phase. It's just by then I'm so beat up.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. Like that third phase is the one. That third phase is the one because he's difficult in that third phase because he makes all those duplicates.
Yeah,
and he's sniping you from them. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's the trick. Is you gotta
Chauncey.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to defend against that effectively. You know, there's like I've seen people play against it and they've developed like ways of just killing those duplicates quickly. But I myself didn't do that. I just learned how to defend against it, and because I've got the tank build on there now, I move slow, and so I've learned how to become mobile despite my slow movement.
Right.
Yeah, and that's really what I was doing is just staying like loose on my feet and being able to dodge it more than deflect it more than anything. You know, keep out of his way because every time he attacks you from those and we're getting spun off on this, but and we'll change it here in a minute. But every time he attacks you from one of those duplicates, he kills them. So he'll kill them for you. So if you can learn how to just stay out of his way and let him attack, but he's basically just hitting air, you know? He's not actually hitting you at all. He's missed you completely. He'll kill all his duplicates for you, and then it's just you and him again, and then you just get in there and spank his little bottom.
Nice.
Yeah. Spank his little bottom. That's when I beat him, I was that's basically what I was telling him. I was like, yeah, I spanked you, you know, like I was so happy because he's such a freaking he's the worst. He's the worst. 3 freaking phases? Really? Yeah, like there's so far I haven't ran into any other boss that has 3 phases. I haven't seen a single one that has 3 phases. He's the only one I've ran into that's had 3 phases. So
yeah,
you know,
same.
Others like most of them will have like at least 2. But he's the only one that I've seen that has 3. Some of them only have 1. Like I think the wolf maiden or whatever, she's only got 1, but she's pretty salty too. She's pretty tough too.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into when I went up against her, and I managed to beat her my first try, but just barely.
Damn.
Yeah. She bleeds you. It's rough. That's a rough fight. She ain't no joke, and she only got 1 phase, and so that says something about her. Yeah, that's where wins meet. You know, that's the game I've been freaking just going to town on for like a hot minute now.
I'm going to assume that's the game that Android's been playing as well.
Yeah, yeah. He talked me into it, and I was like, well, I got to catch up to him now. And at the time, he was level 63, so and I was level 9, so I had to hurry up and catch up. I'm just about there now, though. I'm level 68, and the cap is 70. If
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's 70 right now. Yeah. Yeah. It's 70 right now. I don't know how long it's going to take them to raise it. I kind of hope they wait just a little bit longer and let me get some my primary weapon up a little bit. Let me get some stuff, because my primary weapon isn't as strong as it could be. It hasn't reached the cap. My spear has, but that's because my spear was a better color. My primary weapon, it was only a blue, and
I see what you mean.
And my spear was purple. But now my primary weapon, the Mo blade, is a gold, and my spear is a purple. So I'm trying to catch that up, but now I'm trying to get like a gold spear, so so I can catch some of that up a little bit, because it's just crazy.
More money, more problems.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like that is one thing. It almost feels like you'll never like catch up on that game either. It always feels like you'll be grinding for something, So,
well, I mean, I think that's probably the point of it, since it's an ongoing game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They don't want you to, just get bored with it and set it down because there's nothing else to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. I'm just gonna remain weaker unless I get because you want sets of certain things, like
right
and things like that. So I'm not gonna trade out my weaponry for better weapons if they're not a part of that set. I'll just stay slightly weaker than this or that until I can get my sets back, because I've got full gold sets in armor and things like that. So I'm not playing with it. Like I'm not, because it almost does. Yeah, it almost does. It almost feels like it would be a downgrade, even if the item level is higher than 61 right now, because I think that's the highest item level you can get is 61. So 61 is the highest, but the cap is 70. So but you can raise your martial art, up to at least 70 in your weapons. So like, let's say you're like using the Thundercry blade or something like that, you can raise that martial art up to at least 70, but you can't get a equipment level higher than 61, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it's 65, I don't remember.
The highest one that I've got is 61, at least personally.
Then that's probably it. That's probably it, because what level did you say you were?
68.
Yeah, that's probably it then. I think it's 60. It's probably just 61, because if there was higher, you'd already have a higher equipment level than that. They're already kicking you over, stuff like that.
Yeah, when you do the breakthroughs.
Yeah, because you've been doing the challenges, right? Like the mausoleum. Yeah.
So. I'm stuck on number 9. It's tough.
What is number 9?
It's just you're just going through and fighting enemies, but you're timed, and there's several waves, and it's just a little tough.
Oh, it's one
I don't have the most DPS. I'm a healer.
Yeah. Well, it's that one because there's a few of them. The reason why I was asking is because there's a few of them where they actually like just put you up against two bosses, and they're like, "Don't die."
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, yeah. So that's why I was curious. Is it one of the boss rushes, or is it like just the little minions that are pains in the rear end?
You start fighting a boss, and then you fight a bunch of minions.
I struggled with the one with the monks who can heal, who will heal themselves if you do too much damage. Yeah, that was I don't know why I was struggling with that so hard, but they were just I'd get to that. Yeah, I was dealing with that, and then the dudes with the shield, and it felt like no matter how many times I threw those guys, I could not get their shields to fall off. And it was just crunching my time is all it was. Because it's the time. It's not even the enemies, it's the time. The time limit is what's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where wins meet.
Yeah, so that's where Windsmeet is. That's what that's what I've been playing the crap out of. I've been thinking about like streaming, on something like Twitch or Kick or something. But I don't want to stream.
Streaming. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to stream like where Winds meet or anything like that. Like if I was going to do that, I'd rather I would rather have done it like while my character was still new.
From the beginning, yeah.
Yeah. And because I don't want to start a new character, I'm just probably not going to do that. But I've been thinking about streaming just like some retro games or something like Shining Force or something on there. I don't see a lot of people playing older games, but I don't know how big of a market there is for older games and streaming. Like how interested people are in.
I imagine there's a group for that because there's a lot of people out there who don't really get into the newer type games. They like that old school vibe, retro. And Shining Force was a great game.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I know that there's a market for speedrunning retro games. People really like watching people speedrun retro games, but I'm not really a speedrunner. I mean, I don't know. I probably could speedrun some of them older retro games, like some of the games we were talking about, like DuckTales or Rescue Rangers. Just because those games are kind of like still kind of, it's weird, but those games are still kind of fresh in my mind in a weird sort of way. Like I don't feel like I'd be rusty with them at all, or at least like disgustingly rusty. Might have to pick it up and goof with it for a minute just to kind of refresh myself on some of their mechanics. But I don't know. I think I could speedrun some of those games like that. But
yeah, some of those platformers.
Yeah. But like Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that, heck no, man. I could not speedrun that. I could barely play that game when it was new, like let alone speedrun it now in my old age. Are you kidding me? Yeah,
like even the new Ninja Gaiden games are hard.
Yeah.
Like that's one title that just never let up on the difficulty.
Yeah, what is it? The tutorial for Ninja Gaiden kills you like over and over and over and over again on the new Ninja Gaiden game. I remember that, like playing that and being like, why is the tutorial this freaking hard? Like, just let me into the game. Like why? What are they trying to prove here?
It's like, well, if the tutorial's this hard, I can't imagine what the rest of the game's going to be like.
Yeah, are you trying to remind me that I suck at this game? Because you don't need to remind me that I suck, all right? I already know. So let me play the game.
Yeah, those games are not easy.
Oh, no, they sure weren't. I wonder why they haven't made a new Ninja Gaiden in a while.
They have.
Yeah,
New Ninja
I think
Gaiden
they.
was released.
When?
Yeah, I was gonna.
How did I miss that?
A couple months ago. Hold on, I'll tell you the name of it. Because it's literally on Game Pass right now. It's just Ninja Gaiden 4. Oh, no, it ain't. Yeah, it is.
Ninja Gaiden 4. Huh.
Is it Ninja Gaiden 4? Yeah, Ninja Gaiden 4.
Bust my buttons. I did not know that that they made a new Ninja Gaiden game. I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe I did know that. Maybe I just forgot the name, and when they say the name, I'll recognize it, but nope. Nope, did not. I just did not know. It completely passed me by.
Yeah, so if anybody's listening and didn't know, on Game Pass.
Yep. Ninja Gaiden 4. Go out there and remind yourself why why you suck at games, because Ninja Gaiden 4 will remind you
that you suck at games.
that you suck. You only think you're good at games. You only think you're good at games. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's become the popular thing right now to play games that are just like super hard, that yada yada yada.
That's true.
So who knows? Maybe Ninja Gaiden's not as hard to people as it used to be, just because of that fact. Just because people are so trained to be good at stupidly hard games now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? I forgot about a game I beat that I didn't tell you guys about.
What's that?
So I guess I beat 4 games. Atlas Fallen.
Atlas
Fallen. You said what?
Said interesting. I haven't heard much about that game. Was it good? Did you like it?
I loved it. I love that game. That game is a blast. Fun. I'm surprised that it didn't, I guess, do better upon release, because that game it's a lot of fun. The graphics aren't bad, okay, by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not they're not high tech graphics like the face and your detail and stuff like that. It's not awful. It's not awful. It's not like pixelated or polygonish or anything like that. But it's not like, The Last of Us type detail. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very fun game. It's very fun. And it has aspects of I don't want to say it has aspects of a Souls game, in the fact of, like if you die, you lose all your stuff and you have to go back and pick it up and stuff like that. But the combat mechanism is kind of like a Souls game, because you got your parry in and dodge and stuff like that. And, if you get that perfect parry, it hurts your enemy and stuff like that. But that game, from the story to character development, when you're playing a really good game, when you feel like the characters in the game are your friends, and then you beat the game and it's like, what am I going to do now? I don't have my friends with me anymore. You know what I mean? Type thing, because you're so engaged
invested in it. Yeah.
In that storyline and the different people that you interact with and things like that in the game, that you feel like, them all, even though they're just fictional characters on a game. You just feel like you know them, and you've built up this thing for them, and the game ends, and it's like, oh no, it's like TV shows. When you watch TV show, you've been binge watching a TV show, and the TV show ends, it's like, what am I going to do now? Those were my friends. You know what I mean, type thing. But yeah, it's a really, really good game. It's also on Game Pass if anybody's interested. But yeah, the whole synopsis of that is you're this what they call the unknown, which is basically like a peasant. You know what I mean? And you find a gauntlet, and this gauntlet gives you these powers and stuff like that. But within this gauntlet is a voice and this like NPC that helps you out along the way. You know, they'll tell you things and stuff like that. And you find out later, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but you find out later what that NPC is, which is a very pivotal part of the story. And you're trying to save this world that has been corrupted by a god named Thelos. So your whole purpose is to take down this god that is corrupting this world, to save all these people. And the storyline, you know, basically evolves around that. And it's, you know, you got your different stuff that you do. You know, your mini games and your side quests and stuff like that. And you build up your gauntlet that gives you different powers, like, you know, double jump actually is a power that you end up getting that when you upgrade your gauntlet, and you know, air dashes and crushing things and stuff like that. And you got to find these shards that upgrade your gauntlet. And it's a really, really fun game. I really enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, I can't believe I forgot about that game. But yeah, that's another one I beat. So yeah, that was a great game. And that's one that, like we were saying before, and luckily I didn't have to work the next day, but I was playing forever, and I'm like, oh man, it is late. I need to go to bed because I was that involved, or, you know, that engaged in that game. But yeah, it's a fun game. I recommend it. If you can probably buy it real cheap now because it's been out for a while. But yeah, it's one that kind of fell through the cracks. I don't know why I didn't do better, because it's a fun game.
Cool. Yeah. What's it called
Maybe I'm
again?
mistaken, but I seem to remember that they had some trouble at launch or something. You know,
It's
like
called
it was.
Atlas Fallen. Yeah, they may have had some bugs or something that they've patched out. And I will tell you this: there comes a point in the game, and it's towards the very end of the game, that I thought was a game-breaking bug. Okay, because this is a problem they had at the end. Is you come upon this one spot, and there's these two creatures that are there, and you think you got to fight them, and then you hear a voice from one of the main bad guys, but the main bad guy's not there. You just hear his voice. So I killed these two creatures, and I think he's going to show up. Well, he's not, because he's not there yet. You know, you've got to trigger something else that, you know, lets you proceed on into the game. So if you find like something that you're not supposed to find yet, that you haven't triggered, it just means you haven't triggered it to happen. Does that make any sense? And I thought that I found a bug, and I was like, oh man, you gotta be kidding me. I know that I'm at the end of this game. I know that I am.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a game breaking bug. But then I realized, I was like, well, let me go try and do this first. And I went and did that. And then, of course, I was like, oh, okay. That's why I couldn't do this, is because I haven't done that yet. And it didn't break the game. But it can confuse you. And hopefully you don't run into that. If you do, just ask me. I'll tell you how to get past it. But
yeah. Sorry. Continue.
yeah, I could see why, you know, for that reason alone, there is moments like that where you got to trigger something before you can do, you know, other stuff.
Based upon what I
And
found,
really, what they should have did was not have the guy's voice come down. Once you came
Yeah.
up, you shouldn't have had the guy's voice come down. It should have just been the two guys that you kill, and you're like, oh well, I guess I can't access that point yet. There's something else I got to do.
is it like
But the guy's voice saying something makes you think, okay, he's going to appear or something like that. You know, what is going on? Why isn't this guy showing up? Because I just heard his voice. You know what I mean?
is it like a Ghost in the Machine type of thing, like where he's there but he shouldn't be there type of thing, and so it causes like a weird glitch? Is that really what it's doing, or is it just
Well,
is it just poor design and they should have
It kind of is poor design because when you do come there, when you're supposed to come there, you still hear his voice, and he's still not there. But you can see that you can access the place to where you need to go. Whereas before, it's like barricaded off, and you can't, like, there's like this force field thing that you can't go past to go do what you have to do to get to him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to, when you are supposed to be there, that force field isn't there anymore. So you can go and do what you have to do to get to where he's at.
Yeah, because
So
it's
in the design, what they should have did was when you come up there, if you're not supposed to be there yet, have the two monsters or whatever you got to fight, but not have a voice there, and have your force field or whatever, but not have a voice that makes you feel like, okay, he's going to show up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because that's where it threw me off anyway, is because I'm thinking, okay, I killed these two things, and then this guy's going to show up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you killed my minions, now I'm going to take you out, type thing. But that's not the case. I killed the minions, and then he didn't show up, and I thought, well, maybe I didn't enter the place properly. You know what I mean? So, because there's different ways that you can enter the place. So I went the way that I thought they would want me to, the path, and I must have killed those monsters like 50 times, and this dude never showed up. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do here. And then I realized, and I started looking through my quests, and I was like, well, maybe if I do this before I do this, then I'll be able to, reach where I need to reach. And that's exactly what it was.
They it says that when on launch that it did have a lot of game breaking bugs that like halted quests and things like that and created crashes, and it also says that like the performance, the frame rates were dropping below like 20 FPS, which Jesus. And so that caused a lot of issues, but in a recent update to what they did about that was that of course they released patches or something, but something that they did is they went through and actively collected user saves and feedback to ensure that like it didn't just completely, when they had to go back and rework it, because I guess they had to go back and rework it, you didn't lose your progress. So that's something. That's something. And the reason I'm asking about it, like, was it like a Ghost in the Machine or something? Because I heard about a bug in did you ever play like Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor? Those games?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the Nemesis. Yeah, they are. The Nemesis system that they made for that game, right? Those games. That created a bug in the system that one guy was talking about where he created the Nemesis, and I can't remember which one it is. I want to say it's Shadow of War, where you get the one orc or the cave troll that becomes like your ally for a while, and then he betrays you. He became his nemesis, and he chose to let him just live in exile, and for the rest of his game, he had him as a nemesis, and so he'd show up every once in a while and challenge him, and he'd have to fight him and whatever, typical nemesis system deal for that game, except that he put the game away for a few years and then came back to it to live stream it because I guess he was on Twitch or something, but he was live streaming it for people, and so he started a new game. But the bug in the game was the fact that even with a new save file, having erased the original save, so it's a completely new save file, nothing left over from that original game, he comes back to this new game, and that orc is still his nemesis.
It sounds like a creepypasta, man.
Yeah, no, it's a legit.
I know, I hear you.
Story,
just
but
at that point, it feels like he's like haunting you.
It was that's what I'm saying. Like, it was a ghost in his save file, because that thing, that that nemesis hated him so much that not even deleting the file was going to do it. He just jumped files and said, nah, we have beef, But what's really crazy is the fact that he looks, and the original one, the one that isn't your nemesis yet, the one that, you can have as an ally until he betrays you, was still there. So there's two of them walking around. So even at a low level, every now and then, this orc is showing up being like, nah, let's get it. Trying to kill, like, yeah. And we're talking like a high level nemesis, you know what I mean? Because those things, they level up as you go and yada, yada, yada. They become tougher as you play. And so we're talking like a high level nemesis coming at him when he's like still like these low levels, and he's like, and I'm just retreating. I'm not trying to deal with this guy. I'm just retreating, but I can't figure out why. So he erases that file and tries to start over again. And lo and behold, this orc shows up being like, we have beef. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, we are not done. And I was watching this, and I'll have to find the video again, and I'll show you guys. But man, I was watching this story, and that's kind of what I thought. I was like, man, it's like Ben drowned. Like, like what? Like I kept half expecting for this to just be a made up story, but he tells it straight through the whole thing. He never one time like comes out and says, and I'm just messing with you guys. This is a story written by so and so. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
like he's just talking about. He's like, I want to tell you guys something that happened to me when I was playing Shadow of War. And it's like, God, what
is going on?
What a terrible situation. Yeah. Like, what a bug. Like, that's a serious bug in that game, but I've never heard of that happening to anybody else, like, it's like Psycho Mantis reading your memory card and being like,
Yeah.
you've been playing Bayonetta.
You've been playing Sonic Adventure 2.
You've been playing way too much Bayonetta. Good grief. Why have you only had it paused at this one point?
You need to touch grass.
Yeah, go outside. Like, man.
Yeah, that would be deeply concerning, to say the least.
Yeah, like I was watching that, and I was like, man. Well, I suppose we should call it for tonight, y'all.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we've run this one good.
Before we go, just for the audience, just so you all know, Grand Theft Auto 6 is slated for November 18th. So that's coming out November 18th. That is the
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. That's just what they're saying. I mean, if you watched the Game Awards and you saw the preview for a game called Saros, which that game actually looks really interesting to me too. The main character is being played by, and I don't know his name off the top of my head, but if you've ever watched the television show iZombie, the coroner, the main character, she's a coroner, and which is somebody who handles the dead for like police and in this her sidekick, the other guy, the other coroner, the nerdy little dude that she works with, he's actually playing the main character in this game, Saros. And he's playing an action star. So it's interesting to see him go from playing this nerdy little dude to playing this action star. So I'm kind of interested in that, just because I kind of liked iZombie, actually. I kind of liked that show. It jumped the shark pretty early in its run, but I kept watching it because I thought it was all right. It was okay.
It's interesting. It's got an interesting premise.
Pragmata, which was also showcased at the Game Awards, is releasing April 24th. And that game is by Capcom. And that game, we were talking earlier about Lost Planet. That game kind of reminds me of Lost Planet. It's got like a similar vibe to it. It didn't blow me away though when I was watching it, but I mean, who knows? Maybe it's a really good game. I don't know. It looks good. It looks beautiful. You know, nothing wrong with the way it looks. It just didn't leave me being like, I've got to know more about this world. But yeah, it's set for 24th of April this year release. Resident Evil Requiem is coming out the 27th of February. So we've got some interesting games that, you know, they were talking about at the Game Awards that are supposed to be releasing pretty soon here this year. And just to follow up on that, that John Carpenter game that's coming out, the Toxic Commando, is released for what is it? March 12th of this year. So that'll be 12th. Yep. So that'll be interesting. That'll be an interesting. You know what? After reading its description, I'll probably be checking that out. I wasn't really that interested in it until I read that description, and now I'm like, well, you know what though? The Sludge God. I mean, yeah, you know,
might be cool.
It might be. Death Stranding Director's Cut, the first game, is 67% on sale right now. So you can get that for on sale. You know, I don't know how many people. I bet you a lot of people are still playing that one too. You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You get a lot of Stray,
especially since it just, you know, fairly recently released on Xbox.
Yeah. Stray is still on PS Plus. That's still the game they're offering on PS Plus. That's a pretty nifty little game. I think that's a fun little game, even though you play a cat or whatever. And right now there's that stigma about cat ladies and yada yada yada. But I mean, it's a good little game. Like,
it's an inventive little game, though.
I thought it was really sweet. I thought it was really sweet, and that's coming from me because I'm not one of those like softy kind of people, you know. Last episode we did this, I was making fun of PewDiePie for crying at the end of freaking Walking Dead. So like, I was like, dude was crying. Come on, but I thought this game was really sweet. Outer Worlds 2 is still on Game Pass, and Silksong, Hollow Knight Silksong is on Game Pass, and so is Expedition 33. So, you know, I gotta say, you know, even though Xbox may be struggling a little bit, its Game Pass is pretty good. You know, if you want to spend that kind of money and do that, yeah. I mean, get those games for free. And Ninja Gaiden 4 is on Game Pass. Yep, I see it right there. So, yeah, if you want to go out there and have your little bottom spanked bare back and balls by a game, go ahead and go ahead and play some Ninja Gaiden. Shoot, go ahead and play the original Ninja Gaiden for Nintendo and just see what we had to grow up with. What we used to have to deal with. You know, no saves, only a certain amount of lives, and then you're done continuing. Then you got to start all over again.
Yeah, you want to talk about Rogue? You go.
Yeah.
There's a Rogue game for you.
Yeah, the original Ninja Gaiden is. But it's such a special game, man. Me and a buddy of mine, we stayed up for like, what was it, 2 days just taking shifts, kind of like what we did with Final Fantasy VII. Just handing off the controller to each other, trying to beat that first Ninja Gaiden. And we eventually did it, but man, I mean, you got to ask yourself, was it worth it? What did you leave behind when you what did you at least with Final Fantasy VII, there was saves and things like that and yada yada yada, but Ninja Gaiden, you had to just leave it all on the field or nothing. So but still, those are really good memories. Yeah, but that's what's going on in the world of gaming right now for people. If you're interested in playing some good games, those are always optional. Emblem Heroes is free to play right now. And I think that, I'm not entirely sure, but that sounds like that's a part of the Fire Emblem series. So if you're a fan of Fire Emblem, Emblem Heroes is free to play. And of course, so is Where Winds Meet. That's a free to play game. And you'd be surprised how much you get for free in that game. I'm still looking at people's signposts on that game, because you can leave little messages for other people in that game, and group messages, and kind of like on Dark Souls or Bloodborne, little signposts. And I still see signposts of people just looking at stuff, looking at taking pictures of the world and stuff, because it's really neat. It's got a camera mode on that game where you can take pictures. And there are people just taking pictures of just the scenery and saying, I still can't believe this game is free. So, yeah. Check that out. And, yeah. Anything you guys want to shout out before we take off?
Just like I said before, my buddy Nick's own Nixon show. He's still doing that. I think right now he's doing Avatar, the Avatar game, and he's a hilarious guy. He's got comedy and everything else, so it's not just boring watching him just play his game, because he's cracking jokes the entire time. And you want to check that out on YouTube, Nick's own Nixon show. That's pretty much it for me.
Android?
Not specifically.
Not specifically. Well, you can see Android. You can catch him on our D&D episodes of Adventures in Loxos. We've got a campaign that we've been playing even before we started recording the sessions for YouTube. And we've got a campaign that's been going for 10 years now. We just hit our 10-year mark. So, yeah. 10 years. That's kind of unheard of in a D&D campaign. Most campaigns don't last that long. So we're, and it doesn't look like we're getting any closer to the end. Just when I think we got the ball rolling and we are moving our way towards the end, these guys like to
Smoke them while we got them.
Go, yeah. So you can catch Android on Adventures in Loxos playing Lord Android Farizon. And yeah, just as far as I'm concerned, just check out my channel, Lord Paw Gaming. I got stuff on there. I haven't done any new, other than the D&D and this. I haven't really done any new gaming videos, any reviews or lore or anything like that. I'm still working on an interview that I had with the creator of the game Sheoth that can be found on Steam. And I'm still just working on that video with the interview with him. Yeah, the Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's, and then my birthday just happened. I've really just been taking it easy, but I am going to get that video out pretty soon here. So keep an eye open for that. And yeah. Well, gentlemen, I guess that's another one on the books, huh?
Next time.
Yes, sir.
Well, we'll catch you on the next one.